Hello there, and welcome along to Series 3 and Episode 19 of the Gardner podcast. The Gardner podcast is brought to you in association with Peter Beals Roses, winner of 30 Chelsea gold medals and creating timeless roses since 1968. Go online and shop at www.peterbealsroses.com. Now, today's podcast episode is an absolute monster of an episode and weighs in at a very hefty couple of hours to listen to. However, it was really important to me that this particular body of media was left as it was filmed and as it was actually put together. The contents of which is actually really hard to describe and is actually difficult to put into words. The share that is about to follow is from Paige, which is actually not her real name. Paige is a recovering alcoholic and wanted to share with you her story. I recorded this episode with her just before Christmas, and certain parts of the share resonated so strongly and heavily with me that I also wanted to do some personal sharing with yourself, like her, with the hope of reaching one or two people that the story actually may need to be heard by. And I'm going to endeavour to put myself into an uncomfortable position to be actually share a few personal details with you as well. This is a little bit ironic considering how Series 3 of this particular podcast started way back in August or September of last year with an episode that I recorded with Jen Flourish Nutrition. There's also quite a lot of personal information that I shared in that particular episode for those of you who have listened to it. Now, Paige's recovery actually centres around alcoholism and her addiction to drink. She started drinking initially to give her confidence to go out with her friends, but over a period of time noticed that it stripped her confidence away and saw her drinking alone in her own room, locked away from society and isolated. Paige has had the strength and the courage to enter a step-by-step programme and wanted to share with you her full story. But as I say, certain parts of what she was talking about just before Christmas resonated so strongly with me that I wanted to share a few details as well, in the hope that our conversation reaches just a few ears that actually need to hear it. And if you can identify with any particular parts of the conversation or the bits that I'm going to share with you in a moment, please do reach out, speak to your family and friends, your doctor, or look online for any available help, because it's really important that we all identify these little triggers that we have in our life. Now, as I say, that Paige's addiction centred around alcohol, which is not something I've ever really personally had a problem with. My problem is actually something a little more basic, which creates its own very, very complicated dynamic. Over a period of 40 years, I've had a real issue with food, and I suppose many of you will think that's very, very strange. Other people will all of a sudden go, yeah, that's something that I suffer with as well. From a young age, I was a chubby child and placed on a diet at around age 7 to try and maintain my weight. My weight from that point on has yo-yoed around. For my entire adult life, I have either been gaining or losing large amounts of weight. And by large amounts of weight, I mean talking about 8, 9 and up to 10 stone at any one time, using certain parts of my life and certain events in my life to either lose or gain weight and give myself the excuse to do so. I remember being around 14 years old and restricting food so heavily that I became very, very unwell, almost fragile, bird-like. I managed to get my weight down to around 10 stone and was around a 26-inch waist. I remember very confidently taking myself off to the doctor and discussing the matter with my GP at the time, who actually said at the time that boys didn't get eating disorders. Now, this is the first time I've ever really said this in public, so this particular conversation is very uncomfortable for me indeed, but I'm going to try and do my best and talk to you naturally. I say, the doctor told me that it wasn't possible for boys to get eating disorders. At this particular point in time, he also asked me why I was restricting food to the point where I'd got to myself to be so thin and so fragile. And I said to him that I was actually the fat and the chubby child at school and was being bullied really, really badly because of my weight. He asked me if there was anything else that was on my mind, because obviously I wasn't particularly fat anymore and I was actually very, very skinny. And I said, well, the weight is something that I can control. I can actually deal with that and make sure that people aren't picking on me because of my weight. But the real thing behind the problem is the fact that I'm actually gay. The doctor at that particular point in time said he didn't want to hear that and he couldn't write that down, and it wasn't something I wanted to discuss with the doctor, as it was something that was then at his point in time was something he would have to write down and enter into my medical records. So I left that particular conversation with my doctor simply not knowing what to do. One, and here is in his opinion, boys didn't get eating disorders and there couldn't possibly be anything wrong with me. And I also wasn't able to share with him some intimate parts of my life that I was struggling and battling with. So I've gone round and round and round in these circles with negative connotations and negative things around food for a very long time. There's obviously been parts of my life over the last 40 years that I've been incredibly happy. And as someone who cooks and enjoys cooking and obviously enjoys feeding people as a result, this is very, very complicated indeed. So it's not something that's really been explored until I entered personal therapy just around 2 years ago, where I've really started to unpick the things and the problems that I have around food. Obviously, I've been using weight loss injections over the last couple of years to get a handle on my weight and bring it down to something that is manageable for the long term as I enter my mid to late 40s. But when you use food, as I do, as a coping and comfort mechanism, often wrapping up negative emotions and turning to food in times of stress, times of grief, times of sorrow, it is really difficult to take that crux away from yourself. So when you go through personal therapy, as I have, with many problems circling and revolving around food, it has been very, very challenging indeed to find comfort and to find happiness outside of the world of chucking a cheeseburger or large pizza or eating your body weight in chocolate to make yourself feel better from a certain situation. This is obviously something that is really, really difficult for me to talk to you about. It's obviously incredibly personal and normally very painful for me to discuss. But Paige and I were in full agreement when we spoke just before Christmas that it was really important for us to both be honest and open during this conversation. And if both of us could reach just 1 or 2 people by sharing our stories, that everything would be actually worthwhile. Coming to the conclusion that it is okay not to be okay. It is okay to share points of weakness and points of vulnerability with people is something that is very, very difficult and uncomfortable to do when you, like me, and have locked yourself away being an island for decades on end. So this particular conversation is going to remain completely intact, and I'm going to embrace the being uncomfortable in the hope that we reach just 1 or 2 people that need to hear them. If any parts of this conversation resonate with you or anybody that you know may be struggling, it is really important that either yourself or they reach out for help. Sometimes this can be as basic as asking someone if they want to meet for a coffee or a drink, simply sending them a WhatsApp message to know that you're thinking about them. The world is a very busy, complicated and sometimes overwhelming place, and we can all become very, very lost. So it's important that we're not only kind to each other, but also more importantly kind to ourselves. I hope that you enjoy listening to the conversation I had with Paige, and if there's anything that you need any help with, don't hesitate to reach out. Well, today on the Gardner Ben podcast, we're turning our attention to a completely different type of story. And I've got a guest with me who we're not going to use your real name. We're going to call you Paige for today, if that's all right. Yeah. Paige, you're here to share your story about how you came to here and about the fact that you're a recovering alcoholic.
Yeah.
Can we start by talking a little bit about what life is like now? Rather than going back to what life was before. Can we talk about that?
Yeah. So when I first went into the rooms, when I first went in for help, I remember hearing a lot that people would always say, you're going to have a life beyond your wildest dreams. Mm-hmm. And being cynical me, I was like, oh, that's a bit of a stretch. Like thinking, God, it can't be that good.
Is that because life felt very dark and very challenging? And
When your life is full of so much negativity, it's so easy to look at everything so negatively. Yeah. And that's the headspace that I was in then.
And I suppose it's really easy for people to say, oh, your life is going to be amazing once you've done this really hard work and you've reached out and you've done all of this, because it's brutal, the process, let's face it. Any form of therapy is brutal and you have to pick apart. So it's really, I suppose, you're almost quite cynical and say, well, actually everything could be marvellous after I've done all the work. But so how is life now?
Oh, it's Oh, it is beyond what I expected. It really is. It's really, really good. It's not where I would have had planned when I was a child, where my life would be.
Is anybody's?
No, I guess not. But it's certainly a lot better. But I would rather be doing what I'm doing now than what I was doing 2 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, my life is very different, very busy. But honestly, I am really, really happy.
Well, you're smiling from ear to ear, and nobody can. Oh, hopefully, they will be able to pick up on the tone of your voice. That's amazing. Now, at any point today, this gets a bit much, and I know you've shared your story quite a few times.
Yeah.
But if it gets too much, you just need to say. And if I get the terminology wrong, please feel free to call me in, because I want to make sure that we give your story the respect it deserves. So if at any point I'm incorrect, so tell us a little bit about what life was like.
Okay. Right. So, like you said, I've shared my story quite a lot. And when I was asked to do my first share, my first thought was, I'm going to have a drink first. That was my first thought. My second thought straight away was, where did that come from? I haven't had a drink for 10 months at this point.
Yeah.
But that's my drinking, from when I look back, from even when I was first going out when I was 18, was a lot of my drinking was fear-based. I didn't have any confidence, so I just used alcohol as my confidence boost, really. I would have to pre-drink before pre-drinks just to be able to get into a dress, talk to the opposite sex, and go out for a night out on the town. So
for you felt that it came from giving you a little bit of confidence.
A lot of confidence.
Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of my drinking was fear based, and it was quite difficult at first when I came into the rooms to actually not rely on something, but my confidence has obviously grown since then. But yeah, it was a lot of it was fear based. Until about 2019, I started working nights, and I would finish at 1 a.m, and I couldn't sleep. Went to the doctors, said I couldn't sleep because I had no wind down time.
Yeah, it's difficult when your body clock is upside down to find time to, okay, well, it's dark, I should go to sleep, I've finished work, but actually you need that down, an hour and a half, whatever it is, watching TV or going for a walk or whatever it might be, just to sort of disconnect. Yeah.
And because it was a physical job as well, and I drive home 15 minutes, that wasn't enough of wind down time. So doctors wouldn't give me sleeping tablets, so I said to the guys I work with, I said, I can't get to sleep, what do you do? And they said, well, we have a beer. Like, I'll go home, I'll have a beer, and then I'm all right. So I thought, I'll do that. But I didn't drink beer. I drank vodka.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was drinking vodka and Coke from the moment I got in.
Yeah.
Obviously, my tolerance, that became more and more. And to the point I was drinking half pints of vodka with half pint Coke.
So 50-50s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there'd probably be more than one of those. Yeah. Because when you're that desperate to get to sleep, and this is going to work, then you do sort of go back to it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. And how long did that go on for?
Oh God.
The half pint vodka sort of stage. How long did it take you to get to if you don't mind me asking, how long did it take you to go from sort of 1 or 2, maybe I don't know, what's that?
It didn't take very long.
Okay.
Because all I want to do is go sleep.
Yeah. And let's face it, alcohol induced sleep is not good quality sleep. It will get you to sleep, but you won't wake up rested because you're in and out of sleep cycles, and so you're waking up tired and jaded afterwards anyway, and probably hungover.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I didn't really get hangovers.
Okay,
which is probably maybe, I don't know. It's probably not a contribution.
I mean, the skeptic in me said, "Oh, how lucky!" Because one of the things that stops me excessively drinking is the fact that my hangovers, as I've got older, seem to get worse.
Yeah.
So you never had any of that.
Not really. I get like 1 or 2 hangovers a year, and that was it.
Okay.
And I think I do look back and I think, maybe if I got hangovers, this never would have happened, but it always would have happened because I now know that I am an alcoholic and I was always going to be an alcoholic.
And do you think going back to that, if it hadn't been a hangover, do you think it might have changed from alcohol into something else? If alcohol hadn't got you to where you needed to be to get you to sleep and sort of quieten you down enough to get to sleep, do you think it might have reached for something else, or do you think it was definitely always going to be alcohol?
I think it was always going to be alcohol.
Because it's so accessible.
So, yeah. I can go to any shop, get it.
Yeah.
It's not frowned upon.
No?
It's not frowned upon like anything else is. And it's what I knew.
Yeah.
It is what I knew. So I reckon I was doing that for a good 6 months at least. I got taken to hospital multiple times to detox.
What, in that 6 months?
No, this was after.
After this, yeah.
Yeah. I think I've been in hospital to detox 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
I honestly cannot remember.
Yeah.
That's where I'd go into hospital. They would put me on this, it was 5 days of Librium, which basically stops you detoxing. So the shakes, the headaches, all of that. Because obviously it's not safe to just stop. When your body is that addicted and dependent on alcohol, you can't just stop. Especially being a spirit drinker. Spirits are like the worst thing that you can do. But yeah, multiple times I went in, and each time I would come out thinking, right, that's it, I'm not going to drink. And it would last a few months.
Yeah.
Once actually I lasted 2 weeks. That was bad. But it could be months at a time where I wouldn't drink. And then I think, oh, it's been a few months. I'll be all right.
I'll just have the one.
I'll just have the one. Yeah, and you don't then start drinking alcoholically straight away necessarily. You can think, oh, I'll have one, which is normally 2 or 3 at least. And then you might not drink for 2 weeks or so. And then you think, oh, well, I drank 2 weeks ago.
And I was okay.
Yeah. So I'll drink again. And then before you know it, you're back to your drinking being exactly the same as it was before, which is why I end up having so many detoxes.
And can I ask how those detoxes came about? Were they family members or friends saying, Paige, you need to bind this in, or had you caused yourself some damage? You got to the point where you were drunk to the point where you were out of control, you passed out, you were sick? How did they come about?
My first one, I remember, I was led on my mum's bed. I was crying. I was in a really bad way.
So you're really emotional,
really bad.
Overwhelmed.
Yeah, really, really bad. That was a lot of stuff. I don't actually talk about this normally in my share, but
sorry. Again, if you don't want to share,
it was. I don't have a good relationship with my dad. I haven't seen him for nearly 5 years.
Yeah.
And it was a very toxic relationship when we did speak to him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just really difficult. And I think that was, I don't know if that was another contributing factor to my drinking, because people do say, oh, did you sort of use that to escape the situation? But
it's a common phrase, isn't it? With again, we'll touch on all of those common phrases, because everybody says, oh, are you looking for something in the answer in a bottle of a bottle? So again, you don't know whether that was a contributing factor.
No, but then also knowing now that I'm an alcoholic, it doesn't matter because I would have drank on it anyway.
Yeah.
Because we use things like that as an excuse to have a drink. We can be happy, sad, mad or glad, and we will find an excuse to have a drink if we are actively drinking alcoholics. Well,
again, I mean, the situation we were talking about just before we started recording with myself is not comparable, but it is very similar. That I was addicted to food, and I will quite openly admit that I was addicted to food.
Yeah.
And literally, people say, "Well, are you a happy eater or are you a sad eater?" It's like, no, I'm an eater.
Yeah.
I will comfort myself with food if I am upset.
Yeah.
I will celebrate with food if I am happy. I will celebrate all of the landmarks of life with food. And it is really difficult when you start doing any formal sort of program or therapy or whatever it might be, to actually, when you get really, really stressed, to actually not then reach for whatever it is that you may be using as your crux. And for me, coming off of a therapy call after doing talking therapy, thinking, oh my God, I feel like I've been beaten around with an iron bar.
Yeah.
And not reaching for a Domino's and not stopping at KFC. So I can 100% really, really sort of, I know where you're coming from. I know what it feels like.
Yours was food. Mine was drink. Mine was definitely drink.
Yeah.
I was crying, and I was in a bad way, and my mum decided that it was time that I went to. I sought help, basically.
Yeah.
And we knew I couldn't just stop drinking, so I got taken to A&E. And I remember as well, actually, my skin was really bad. It looked like I just had eczema from my wrists all the way up to my shoulders, on my arms. I had it on my thighs. I forgot about that, actually. But I think that was just my body being like, you are poisoning me.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah, because the skin is often the last point of call. It's the last organ that starts to suffer. It's that outward sign.
Yeah, and I think I was doing so much damage to the inner organs that it was then going for the outer. Multiple detoxes. And in June of 2021, I went to Morrison's. And
other supermarkets are available.
Yeah, sorry. But I went to the shop to buy vodka, and I hadn't had a drink, so I'm actively drinking this time.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a drink because I had to drive to the shop to get alcohol. Yeah. And I was walking down the aisles, and I thought I was getting a migraine. I had these orbs in my eyes. Like I do when I have the odd migraine. Got to self-checkout, and I tapped my card, and it's told me to put it in. And at this point, I'm like, I can barely see. Yeah. And I think something's wrong. So I tried to sit down, but in trying to sit down, the seizure started. Okay. I had a withdrawal seizure in the supermarket. Yeah. And that's because I hadn't had a drink, and it's, like I said, it's dangerous to just stop, which is why you should do it safely. Yeah. With either hospital or by cutting down yourself if you can. And I had a full-blown seizure, and obviously I don't remember that, but I remember when I came round and I'm sat up, and I've got 3 people around me, on the floor around me, just sat with me. And I just look at this man who's in front of me, and I just go, why have you got my phone in my purse? Like, the first thing that I remember saying was basically interrogating this poor guy. Yeah. And he said, right, she's coming back. And I'm like, back from where?
Where have I been? Yeah, what happened? Yeah.
And that's common. People have seizures, they're not quite with it at first. You don't know who you are, what you're doing. Yeah. And he was actually a first responder. And then I see the paramedics come in. And obviously this man's just explained to me that I've just had a seizure. And I admitted straight away, it just came out, I'm dependent on alcohol. And he said, is it a withdrawal seizure? And I was like, yeah, it's that. I didn't know that this was a thing. Yeah. I did not know.
You literally, in that moment of clarity, you self-diagnosed yourself, and literally, yeah.
And honestly, that was a very, very bizarre,
sort of like an aha moment, light bulb going.
It was, but I was in the whole journey to the hospital, about half an hour in the ambulance. I was just, the poor paramedic, bless her, I was just chatting away like it was normal. I rang my mum, and I said, because obviously I was going to hospital and I couldn't drive, so they gave my car key to someone who works there at the kiosk, and I rang my mum, really blasé about it. I was like, oh,
hi, Mum.
yeah.
Yeah, just phoning to let you know, I just collapsed in Morrison's. Yeah.
Literally.
I'm in an ambulance.
Yeah. I literally said to her, I was like, so I just had a seizure in Morrison's, but obviously I've got to go to hospital. My car's in the car park. So I've given my key, and my mum's going, wait, what?
It's like, Paige, what the hell's going on?
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, so my key is
at reception. Yeah.
So can you, like, maybe can you and
sort out getting my car?
My uncle was living with us at the time, who's actually a recovering alcoholic as well. But I said, oh, can you and Gary, or can you and my stepdad go and get my car? It was like it was normal.
Yeah.
And my mum, bless her, it was 2 days before her birthday as well.
These things are never well timed, are they? But
no,
still, life is life.
Yeah.
It comes at you in order it comes at you in.
Life, and it really does. And so I was really blasé about it. Went to hospital, obviously. Was in overnight. I didn't need to do the detox because you do the detox to avoid a seizure.
Okay.
I'd had the seizure.
Okay.
So obviously they monitor you.
Yay!
Yeah. Like, oh, I did it by myself.
Well done you. Yeah.
They monitor you obviously to make sure I didn't.
So once you go again, because I don't know, once you've had that seizure, when you're detoxing, the likelihood of you having another one, because is remote, or it just doesn't happen, or is the seizure the worst point of the detox, and then everything else? Not saying it's better, but it is not as life threatening as the sort of passing out stage.
So the seizure, the way it was explained to me, obviously I'm not clinically trained, I can only go by my seizure.
Of course, yeah.
But it was explained to me that if you see somebody in withdrawal and they've got the shakes, it's because they've got excess energy in their body that the alcohol would normally suppress. Yeah. Because the alcohol isn't there to suppress it, the energy is there, which is why people get the shakes. There was so much energy in my body that needed to get out. That's why I had a full-blown shaking seizure. So because I'd had that, I don't think you then go on to have
another one.
I didn't.
Yeah.
So I didn't. Can't speak for everybody. But I just had the one. Obviously they had to do like a scan and everything, like brain scan. One doctor thought, even though I told them, dependent on alcohol, one doctor thought that maybe I was epileptic, wanted to put me on medication for it. Yeah. Another doctor said no, because once she goes on that epilepsy medication, it's really hard to get them off. Yeah. She said it's this. It's clearly this. Yeah. Because, they could probably see that I've probably been in detox 2 or 3 times at this point. Yeah. It's in my medical notes. I'm clearly an alcoholic. Yeah. It's obviously alcohol related.
And at no point before that, obviously you said you'd been into detox several times before that, maybe 3. At no point had sort of a doctor or a nurse gone, I think it might be time for you to enter a program. This is a leaflet. Do you need some help? Had anybody said that to you at that point?
Yeah. So when I went in, each time this alcohol liaison lady.
Okay, so there was somebody about. There was somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. And she'd come and talk to me. Obviously, I get her job is probably quite difficult because us addicts, we lie.
Oh yes, yeah.
We don't tell the full truth.
Yeah. We all have the ability as human beings. We all have the ability to lie and bend the truth and manipulate it and make it look favourable in our own light. Yeah. And some people even have the ability to tell themselves so many things over and over again, it becomes almost fabric in their own mind that is the truth. Yeah.
You start to believe it yourself. Yeah. So yeah, she each time she came to see me, and she told me that she would get me information about AA and things like that. Yeah. And I never got any of that. And she said that she would ring me, or we'd have an appointment further on down the line. Yeah. Like in a couple of weeks or something. And I'll get a letter in the post saying a telephone conversation with this lady at this time on this date. And
but all a little bit, by the sound of it, a little bit formal for someone whose life might be a little bit in turmoil and a little bit unregulated and a little bit, because you don't know when you're going to drink and when you're not going to drink.
No.
You don't know whether it all seems like a bit
Yeah.
bit disciplined. Actually, the better thing to do would just to phone you.
Yeah.
Just turn up at home.
Yeah.
Maybe yeah.
But then she didn't call me at the time that she said she was going to.
Okay.
I don't want people to be put off by that, though.
Yeah.
I don't want people to think...
Well, we all know that the
that's
NHS is completely overwhelmed at every single point in its... Yeah.
But then the thing is also, by the time that she did actually... This isn't on her because, you know, if she did then contact me maybe the next day
Mm-hmm.
or a couple of weeks later, I've already convinced myself that I'm not an alcoholic.
Yeah. You're okay. I survived that.
So
yeah.
in my head, I'm saying I don't need that conversation with her because I'm not an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Obviously, I am.
Yeah.
But I'm completely in denial about it. But yeah, I don't want people to be put off because, well, this is why I do share my story, because there is help out there.
Yeah.
And you know, I do wish that I'd found it sooner, but then at the same time, I think everything happens for a reason, and I found the rooms and the fellowship when I did. So yeah, had the seizure. Didn't drink for a while after that.
Can you remember how long a while is?
No.
You can't?
No.
A couple of weeks?
Like, my drinking from 2019 to last year when I stopped, you know, those 5 years are a massive blur because I spent more of it drinking than I didn't.
Yeah.
So, you know, I might have had 2 or 3 months off at a time, but I made up for it.
Yeah.
I did. I would make up for it.
Yeah.
So again, to convince myself and to convince other people, I guess, that I wasn't an alcoholic, I switched from drinking vodka.
Okay.
I wouldn't drink anything over 20%. Sorry. So because then obviously that meant that I wasn't an alcoholic.
Again, you've rationalised that in your own thoughts. It's like,
yeah. So then, yeah, I wouldn't drink vodka. Because anything over 20%, I wouldn't touch.
So what did you turn to after vodka, if you don't mind me asking? What did you downscale yourself to?
Peach schnapps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if I couldn't get that, Malibu or something else that was, as long as it was under 20%.
Yeah.
Then I would drink it because then I wasn't an alcoholic.
Yeah. I have to confess that both of those are favourite tipples of mine. So I see the appeal.
Yeah. And then.
But of course, they come with a massive amount of sugar as well. I mean, we're talking about alcoholism, but we're also talking about a massive amount of sugar.
And then in August of 2023, I was really ill, so I kept passing out.
Mm-hmm.
I would be in bed. I'd feel really weak. I'd get up, my eyes would go funny, and I would drop to the floor because I was so weak.
Yeah.
I was scared to go downstairs because I thought I might fall. This was quite... It was really quite scary.
I can imagine it was, yeah.
And like just to get up to go to the toilet, like I wasn't really drinking much water or anything.
Yeah. Because
I didn't want to have to get up to go to the toilet.
Okay.
But I was still drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
And I was still able to make sure that I had my alcohol. And yeah, I actually called an ambulance on myself, which I never thought I would do.
Mm-hmm.
I was dry heaving in the bathroom. I was so weak and I was just laid on the floor. And I honestly thought my mum was going to come home from work and find me dead on the bathroom floor. And they asked... Can I ask, it might be too painful, how did that make you feel? I was scared. I was just really, really scared because I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
And I didn't think then drinking has caused this.
Yeah.
And they asked me to check my pulse and they said, can you count your heartbeat as it's happening?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't count quick enough.
Because it was racing. It was that fast.
Yeah. And it was really scary. Got taken to hospital. And basically they found that my iron levels were really, really high.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, when people are anemic, they're really tired.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing, even when it's the other way.
Yeah.
And I got taken to hospital twice for the same thing. It was about 3-4 weeks apart where this was happening to me. And then, the high iron came up. And I remember I went to my doctor's, and she had a look at a blood test, and she turned the screen round to me to show me what my iron levels were, because in the 20 plus years of her being a GP, she'd never seen iron levels as high as mine. She told me that they should have been between 13 and 150, and I swear she said it was 3,254.
Okay, yeah.
Which is
an awfully big number, yeah.
It's crazy high. And I have actually tried to have a look on my medical records to see where that reading was.
Yeah.
But the highest one I managed to find when I was looking through, because obviously I had a lot of blood tests at the time, the highest one I found was over 1,500.
Okay.
Which is ridiculously high.
Still hundreds of times over what it should be, yeah.
Yeah.
And do you understand where that reading came from? Is that because your liver was struggling to get rid of it, or you weren't drinking enough other fluids to flush through the stuff in your system, or?
So, alcohol, there's a lot of, like, you normally find people that, so if people are alcoholics and they give up drinking, they tend to become anemic, because
Yes.
a lot of the iron that they're getting from their diet is from alcohol.
Yeah.
So people think it's just Guinness that
Yeah.
is really high in iron,
Yeah.
but actually it's...
alcohol in general.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. So she told me that I needed to cut out red meat and alcohol. Obviously, I didn't tell her again. I lied, and I didn't tell her exactly how much I was drinking.
But on none of those blood tests did it not just show up that you had massive amounts of alcohol in your system?
If they weren't testing for that, it wouldn't have come up, and they wouldn't have.
Okay, I'm just almost astonished that wouldn't be something that would come up. I'm not saying that we should be doing toxicology reports on everybody that walks into an A&E but you would have thought that would have come up.
Yeah, I don't know actually. I don't know, but obviously because
I bet they asked you whether there was any likelihood you could have been pregnant or not. I bet that question came out of somebody's mouth at some point.
Yeah.
Yes, run of the mill, yeah.
Yeah, but no, I think because I know how much addicts lie.
Yeah.
And I know how much I lied about my drinking. So if I had somebody in front of me making out that they drink more than what's recommended, but they're not drinking to excess, who am I to say that they're not telling me the truth? And that's what I was doing. I was saying, I drink 3 or 4 times a week. It's not the case at all. I was drinking every night at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I was collapsing, and they were focusing more on that side of things, I think. My doctor said to me, you need to cut out red meat and alcohol.
Yep.
So I was like, okay.
So venison, steak and burgers was off the menu, but...
I stopped eating red meat.
Okay.
Yeah, if my stepdad does all the cooking, and if he did spaghetti bolognese, I'd be like, I can't eat that. And then I'd go upstairs to my bedroom and start on the peach snaps. But that's the insanity of addiction. Is that seemed normal at the time.
Yeah.
I was ready to stop eating spaghetti bolognese, spaghetti and meatballs, lasagna, any of that.
Yeah.
Having a steak, anything like that. But I was still drinking.
But
let's face it, the drinking, that's poison. It's a toxin.
Well, again, this is the astonishing thing. We were talking before we started the recording, just how readily available alcohol is. It is the most accessible of all drugs and one of the most dangerous out there. And again, I'm sat here as a person who I'll admit, I do enjoy a drink. Yeah. I don't drink very often. We drink probably in this household maybe once every 2 weeks. It's not very often at all, massively below the average. But it is unbelievably accessible, and it is very common for someone to say, do you want a drink? Cheer yourself up. Just drink. Steady your nerves. have a drink.
Yeah.
Celebrate something, have a drink. Oh, you're a bit sad, have a drink. It's sort of everywhere all the time. You don't have to. I mean, you said you were walking down a supermarket. Oh, there's masses of it. You can buy it 24 hours a day from absolutely everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's cheap. It really is cheap.
And the thing is as well is this is very, very common, but I would go to different shops to get the alcohol.
Yeah.
In the hope that they wouldn't notice
that you were there regularly or buying the same thing over and over again. I
didn't know until a few years later that when I was buying my vodka, and I thought I was being very clever, I was known in the village that I live in as Vodka Girl. They didn't know me. They didn't know my name. I was just known as a vodka girl.
You were the girl that buys vodka or seen with vodka
And it makes it so much worse when you realise that...
Well, it makes you realise that everybody else was noticing and long before you knew... Yeah.
But also I wasn't always buying it from there. I was going there, and this is the thing, you do forget where you've been, but
again, you think you're being all clever and devious, but people are noticing.
But so I tried to even hide it from them, and they still picked up on it because that's how bad my drinking was. Yeah, and my sister, I've got a twin sister. We look alike, but we you can tell us apart. Mm-hmm. But she went into a shop.
I have a twin sister, and everybody used to say, "Do you look like her? Oh. Are you identical?" No, I'm very much evidently a man with a big hairy beard and a bald head, and she's definitely a woman.
Yeah.
So no, I don't look anything like her.
Massive difference there.
But it's one of those silly things that just comes out of people's mouths.
Yeah. But with obviously we do look very similar. But like I said, you can tell us apart. But that's people that know us. My sister went into a shop, and the woman behind the counter automatically grabbed a bottle of vodka, thinking it was me.
As in your usual. Yeah.
And again, I'm thinking, well, but I'd only go in there I wouldn't go in there very often because I'll try and mix it up in different shops.
Yeah.
But that's how bad it was. That I didn't just have one shop noticing how much I was drinking. There was at least two.
Yeah.
That were like only 10 minutes apart. But that is the insanity of the drinking. It is really common because we do hide alcohol.
Yeah.
And we think we're doing it well, but we're not.
No.
We're really
and
not.
at this point,
sometimes.
this must have been costing you a massive amount of money.
Yeah. I can have a look actually on the app in a minute. And
all right.
So I don't know.
If you wanted to, it just interests me sort of what kind of money you were spending, because this wasn't the low point, was it? It carried on. There's more.
There is more. There is definitely more. That was not my rock bottom. So I have been sober now for 1 year, 6 months and 19 days.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And in that time, I have saved £8,520.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between your normal living expenses that have continued and what you would have normally been spending feeding your addiction.
Yeah. And obviously this isn't exact. I put in £15 a day because that's roughly what I was spending.
Okay.
Was £15
so
a day.
we're equating to sort of 3/4 of a litre of vodka a day.
Well, I was drinking...
and peach schnapps.
Peach schnapps, I was drinking... I would get 2 bottles of peach schnapps.
Yeah.
And because I had the fear of running out, which is...
So you always had one somewhere?
Yeah, I always had to have
a reserve.
A backup, So it was working out as about 15, and I was buying like the nasty supermarket own. Yeah, that stuff. Yeah, it wasn't Archer's or anything. It wasn't branded. It was just the supermarket's own bottom shelf stuff. Yeah. Which
is about, I don't know, it's about 2/3 of the price, isn't it? So you're saving. Okay, so still a massively substantial amount of money.
Yeah, and there's people that have saved. There's one guy that I know, he's 10 years, and over £100,000.
Wow.
Yeah, but his alcoholism did lead on to other substances as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So to focus on the positive, if we might, just that lump of money that you said, that what have you earmarked that for? What are you going to do with that, Paige? What have you an idea of set in your mind? Is that going to be a holiday? Is that going to be a car? Is that going to be a special trip or a house, or deposit on a house or something? Or what might be?
It's hard because I
or
don't
you're
have
not
that
focused.
money.
You're not focused on that.
I don't have that money because, well, as I go on to when I hit rock bottom, I wasn't working for a long time.
Okay.
So I don't. It would be nice if I did have that money just sat there that I wasn't spending.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to go. I want to travel more, and I like to go on my own.
Yeah.
So which does tend to be more expensive. And to be honest, when you are drinking alcoholically, and the drinking that I did, which was on my own in my bedroom, it was horrible. It was just awful, and I wouldn't go to things, and I wouldn't spend time with friends if there wasn't alcohol involved, or if I thought I'm not going to be able to have a drink until this time.
Yeah.
So it's just nice to have my life back,
So
I'll be able to use that money to actually spend on doing nice things. Whereas before, all I did was just spend money on alcohol to drink to black out.
Again, it's interesting to hear you say actually for you it wasn't social. What started off as something to give you some confidence to go into social situations, get ready to go out with your friends, actually led to you being isolated and alone and doing this behind closed doors on your own in your bedroom.
Yeah, I mean after so obviously after the whole iron levels situation, my liver enzymes were all over the place. Yeah. Obviously, because it was taking a battering. So I then had to have a liver biopsy. Mm-hmm. Obviously, at this point, I'm still lying about my drinking. Yeah. The reason it was up and down was because I was into detox, or I'd stop for a month or so, and they were just all over the place. So had to have a liver biopsy, and so I was told that I couldn't, because I'd have to have the liver biopsy, then wait for a few hours, and then I couldn't drive myself home. Mm-hmm. So obviously my mum took me, and I was told that I wasn't allowed to drink anything but clear liquids before like midnight. Yeah. So from midnight I could only have clear liquids, sorry. And you do not tell an alcoholic that they can only have clear liquids, because...
Well, vodka's clear.
Exactly.
Peach schnapps is clear. Exactly. Malibu's clear. Yeah.
So I thought,
as long as I don't drink Guinness,
as long as I don't mix it with anything, then I'm fine.
all good to go. Yeah.
And because I didn't have to drive in the morning, because my mum was going to drive, I was like, I'm fine. So I think I had to stop drinking anything. It was like 2:00 in the morning or something. By this point, I passed out anyway. But I was still drunk in the morning. I was still tipsy. Yeah. Definitely still tipsy. But I remember it was horrible. It was. I never thought that I would have to go through anything like that with the biopsy. Mm-hmm. And the needle that they brought out, I thought that's going to go straight through me. It was the biggest needle ever.
Again, I've experienced one of these, and I'll lead it back to some personal experience. Again, a lot of people won't even to be able to relate to this, but an ex-partner of mine didn't think they had a drinking problem, to the point where they would sink probably 3/4 of a bottle of red wine every day, and they drank that for probably about 10 years, every single day. And the only clear liquids or non-alcoholic liquids that he would drink would be coffee. And over a period of time, he damaged his liver to the point where it completely shut down. And if it hadn't been noticed, because again he was anemic, tired and lethargic all the time, again that wouldn't have been picked up. And it was just before a very large event for ourselves. We were actually just about to get married, and so he had a biopsy on his liver, and actually his liver function was so low. They said, actually, this is really, really bad. So I know what that is. It's scary. It's, I don't know. I'm doing this. I'm making. It's about. It looks like it's about 15 inches long. It's enormous. The thing. Yeah.
Biggest needle I've ever
because your liver's massive. Yeah.
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 And obviously it was a very uncomfortable procedure and I was in a lot of pain. And afterwards, because by this point I thought, I'm done, I can't, I'm having a liver biopsy because of my drinking.
And can I ask you what age you are now? What sort of age are you now?
I'm 33 now.
No, but they're then, sorry.
30, so I was 32 back then. This was only February last year.
Okay, so
Yeah, this is beginning of February of last year. So this is obviously, so August 23 was when my iron levels were crazy and stuff, and then in February. So
you're at an age where most people only just moved out of home. They might have only just finished their qualifications and got the job that they want. You've literally you've just set yourself out on the path, and you're having a liver biopsy.
Yeah. Nobody else that I know is having a liver biopsy, especially at my age. So I remember afterwards, because like I said, I had to stay in for a few hours, and I was crying. I would cry my eyes out because I was done, and I wanted help, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do, and the nurses there, they were so lovely. They were really, really nice, and I just, I said, I'm done. I just can't keep drinking. And then, so that was beginning of February, I think it was like the 9th. And on the 18th of February, I went into hospital for a detox.
Yeah.
And it was my last detox. I had this new mindset. I was convinced that I was going to stop.
Yeah. And you wanted to stop by the sound of things. You at that episode when you had your liver biopsy, you obviously knew you were heading for a low point, and you were wanting to help. You wanting help.
I mean, at this point, I'm telling myself every day, I'm not going to have a drink today, and I would end up having a drink.
And how, can I ask you, how would you reward yourself if you didn't have a drink? If you managed not to have a drink on that day, I mean, would you reward yourself with an extra drink the next day, or?
It didn't really happen.
It didn't happen.
No,
you didn't get that far.
But I do hear in the rooms, people do say that, if they don't drink for one night, because the definition of an alcoholic isn't somebody who drinks every day.
No.
It's not that. It's you are powerless over alcohol, and your life has become unmanageable.
Yeah.
And people think, there's a lady in the rooms that I got on with really well. She's a binge drinker.
Yeah.
She didn't drink every day.
No.
But as soon as she had that first drink, she was powerless over it. So she would then maybe reward herself with more.
Yeah.
And I do hear people say, that if they didn't have a drink one day, the next day they'd make up for it.
Yeah.
Because that's just what that's just what our brains are telling us to do.
Yeah.
But for me, it never happened, because even when I'd say, I'm not going to have a drink today, I always did.
Yeah.
I always did, because it's always what I went back to. But I was convinced I was going to stop. I was like, right, this is it. I'm not going to drink again. I'm saying to myself, you are an alcoholic. So I went along to a meeting. I popped along to a fellowship meeting, but I didn't go to the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I just inquired.
Okay.
And I just.
So you made the first step.
Yeah, I just wanted some information, and then the plan was I was going to go to work, then go to the gym, and then by the time I finished there, I could then go to the meeting, because where I worked and where the meeting was in the same place. So rather than me driving all the way home and driving all the way back, I was like, oh yeah, I can do this. But I never actually went. So this is beginning of March. This is of 2024. And then at the end of March, it was like bank holiday weekend. And I went out and I said, right, I'm just going to have one drink. And anybody who is an alcoholic or knows anything about alcoholism, it's never just one drink. And they do say it's the first drink that gets you drunk. Because if you don't have that first drink, you won't then go on to have more.
No.
But that's the thing, I am completely powerless over alcohol. And once I have that first drink, I'm having 2, 3, 4, 10, as much as I can drink until I've blacked out. And straight away, after that night, I was back to drinking every single day. There wasn't any of this, oh, well, I had a drink the other day.
I suppose in your mind you're telling yourself, like, if I really wanted to give up, I did.
Yeah.
I gave up for a few days. I went a week, I went 10 days. I didn't have to do that. I can't be an alcoholic because if I wanted to, I could give up. I did give up. Yeah, I did stop.
But this time, I went out for that one drink. Obviously, that wasn't one drink. And straight away, I was back to daily drinking.
Yeah.
And I would go to work, and at lunchtime, I'd go out on my lunch break, and I'd buy my 2 bottles of peach schnapps. Yeah. And they would go in my car boot, because my drinking would start at 6 o'clock. That's my drinking.
In the evening?
In the evening, yeah. So I got home about 5:30, so my drinking would start at 6. And honestly, the feeling of knowing that alcohol was in my car, ready for me to drink when I got home.
That was enough to get you through the day.
It was such a buzz.
Yeah. And you hear that a lot about people that smoke, aren't they? That actually just holding the cigarette, just buying the packet of cigarettes is enough just to...
Like, just knowing it's there.
Yeah.
And, if I went out on my lunch break and say they didn't have any...
Yeah.
And then I've got to go and get some after work, my brain has already been like, you're not going to be able to find any.
Where are you going to get it?
Yeah.
How are we going to... Yeah.
You're going to have to drive for miles to get this, and then you can't have your first drink.
The world's run out of peach schnapps.
Yeah.
The peach schnapps shortage. I've drank all the peach schnapps, yeah.
Yeah, and...
But you catastrophise on that already, and that's a series of events in your mind leading to panic and dread.
That is the insanity of this disease. It's the insanity of what our brains... We convince ourselves.
When I used to overeat, I always used to think to myself, well, if I eat this now, I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to worry about being hungry or being a little bit faint or not having the energy to do X, Y, and Z. If I rewind the clock back 30 years, I used to think that I can relate to that. I used to think, actually, if I eat that now, I don't have to worry about that now. Yeah. I'm done. But then, of course, 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, I could have something sweet now. I could have an ice cream, whatever. Well, obviously, that for you, that was drink. You can't go.
So the buzz, I would get this, my mood would change. I'd be suddenly, like in the afternoons, I'd be in a good mood.
You'd be elated.
Because I know that alcohol is there.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going to go home, and I'll be home about 5:30ish, and latest of 6, and that's when my drinking can start.
And nobody at work can notice this. You'd managed to keep this that much of a secret that, for instance, your people at work weren't noticing that this was an issue.
Yeah, I think because I wasn't drinking at work.
Yeah.
And also I would have
there's this impression that an alcoholic is going to walk around with a brown paper bag stuffed in a bag, and they're going to be sort of swigging from a bottle behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. I covered it, and even if I thought the next day, like, oh, what if I smell like alcohol? More perfume, more deodorant. Yeah. Eating smelly foods like anything pickled onion. Yeah. Like any pickled onion crisps.
It's quite devious, isn't it? It's when you sort of look back at it and think about it. Yeah.
And there was like one of the energy drinks that I drink. Yeah. A lot of people don't like the smell of
no, I must admit they turn my stomach. Yeah. So
I would drink that.
Yeah.
Because then people wouldn't want to smell that, so then they wouldn't, and they'd smell that.
Or again, Paige had an energy drink rather than anything else. Yeah.
And then I think I always went for a can as well, because they'd see me open it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my drinking was, I would pour alcohol into bottles.
Yeah.
And drink from it, and people would think it was just a lemonade.
Okay.
It wasn't. It was a vodka and lemonade.
When
I was drinking vodka and lemonade, or peach schnapps and lemonade. Okay. So I always took a can, because in my head I was like, they're going to see me open it, they're going to know that I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
So even if they can smell it, it doesn't matter, because this is like all the things that you tell yourself in your head. But my drinking would start at 6, and if there was traffic, God, that was awful, because I just think I'm not going to be home for 6. I need to start drinking at 6, because I was so depressed. I was so depressed. I hated being awake, and that's where my alcoholism took me. Mm-hmm. I didn't like being awake. If I woke up at say 2 o'clock in the morning, because as we said earlier, it's not a good quality of sleep.
No.
I would be like, well, I'm having another drink.
Yeah.
Just because
I'll numb myself down again.
Yeah, and I just didn't like being awake. And if, at the weekends, if I didn't have anything planned, I was staying in bed all day, and I just drank all day. Because I just didn't want to be awake. And alcohol was what I used to go to sleep.
And can I ask, outward symptoms of this, just practicals, that's where my mind goes. What were you doing with all these bottles? This is a lot of bottles.
Yeah. So
I mean, I only asked because when we bought this house, there was very, very evidently an alcoholic that lived here because the hedges, the bushes, the hedgerows over the fence, there were hundreds of bottles.
Yeah.
Obviously, they were being thrown over the fence. I'm gesturing, but there were obviously bottles being thrown over the fence to get rid of them. What were you doing with all these bottles? I mean, this is a lot of glass bottles.
Yeah. So what I would do is I would stack them up sort of in my room. So, or if I ever knocked one over, I'd be like, no, because they'd all go toppling over.
Yeah.
But then I would put them in a suitcase, put them in my car, and I'll take them to the bottle bank.
Okay.
And so many people used to do that joke of,
every night.
Someone's had a party,
Yeah.
and I'm there like, oh, no, this is just me.
You like the peach schnapps, do you?
Oh, honestly, it was so embarrassing. I'd be like, oh, please don't come to the bottle bank at the same time as me. But yes.
But you weren't leaving. What I'm asking is, you're not leaving them out for curbside recycling. Again, you are squirreling those away. You are taking those somewhere they can't be seen. You're actively doing that.
Because I didn't even want my mum and my stepdad to know that I was drinking any at all, let alone to the extent that I was.
Yeah.
Or there was a lot of empty bottles in my car as well, because I'd get an empty bottle, or even like an empty water bottle.
Yeah.
And I would pour my peach schnapps into the water bottle, leave the glass bottle in my car, and obviously just take that water bottle in the house, thinking, they've
just been to the gym.
And that was my way around it. And it was suitcases, which was really heavy and hard to get down the stairs, and it would rattle. But obviously, I'd have to plan it when nobody else was home, because it would be obvious. So it would either be they'd get left in my car, or it would be in a suitcase, like a big suitcase as well. Yeah. And then taken down to the.
Okay, sorry, I've interrupted you. So just thinking, how would you go about that? But you explain that.
Honestly, we're sneaky. We are really, really sneaky. There's loads of different ways that I've heard other people of where they've got rid of it. I mean, how they've got rid of it, how they've tried to hide it. Yeah. It's basically, if there is a way of hiding it, we've probably thought of it. Yeah. And we've probably done it.
And probably thought at the time that you were being a master criminal and being super devious, when actually, when you look back at it, you think, actually, that was really quite obvious. Yeah. I don't know, why did nobody notice that? Because that's really quite blatant.
Yeah, it's insane to think. Like, when I look back, I think, why? I thought that was normal at the time. Yeah. And there's nothing normal about my drinking. Nothing. Even when I was younger and going out, and I said pre-drink before pre-drinks, I was always the person that I always got the drunkest. And this is before I was alcoholically drinking. This is just my drinking. Yeah. And
can I ask as well? I mean, on that note, because you brought it up, were you the friend that people avoided going out drinking with, or were you the fun friend that everybody always wanted to make sure? Because there's two ways of looking at this, isn't there? I've had friends in the past over the last 30 years. Oh no, don't invite those to that social situation, because they'll get out of control and they'll be loud or cry or kick off with somebody or end up crying in the street or wandering off. Yeah. Or actually, no, do invite them, because they are great fun. They're going to be loud, exuberant. They'll be on the dance floor throwing some shapes. Can I ask which one?
I was that fun one.
You were the fun one.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only person I know of that didn't invite me to things because of my drinking is my sister. Okay. And do you think she because she was so close enough to you, she could see through it? We have a very... Or
called the BS quicker than anybody else.
Yeah, and I think because there's quite a lot of jealousy in our...
Being a twin is hard.
It is.
Really hard.
Yeah, and especially when...
Because I don't talk to mine. I haven't talked to mine for a long time, which a lot of people think is very, very strange, but...
I understand why. Because, me and my sister, we are we are identical twins.
Yeah.
But we look very different. And we are very different people.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very different people. And people have always compared us.
They do. Naturally, they do. All the time. And it's not fair.
Like when she used to smoke and I didn't, and people would say to me, "Oh, have you got a spare cigarette?" And I'll say, "Oh, I don't smoke." And they go, "Well, your sister does." Like, and that doesn't automatically mean that I do.
Yeah.
So
I was very lucky. My mum and dad at a certain point, when we were children, separated us out. We went to infant school together in the same class, and when we went to junior school, we separated ourselves out.
Yeah.
And we had different groups of friends, but because my sister at that time was my best friend, we gravitated back together anyway, and we still shared the same friends. And it was until about 16, 17, our lives were very, very similar.
Yeah.
And we had the same group of friends, and it wasn't until she had a partner and she's still with that partner now, but and life took us off in two very much different directions, and by then it was really quite difficult. But everybody does, they lump you in. You're always known as the twins. I'm doing air quotes because you're the twins all the time. It's like, no, I'm actually my own.
Yeah.
I'm on my own boat. And sometimes I used to scream almost in my own head, "Hello, no, I'm actually here. I'm more than just a birthday that I share with somebody." And it's really strange for people to talk about, because they think, "Oh, you must have this wonderful intimate connection." It's like, you must have this telepathy with you. It's like, no, that doesn't really exist. As far as my experience goes, that doesn't exist.
And a lot of people think that, me and her would get on really, really well, be really, really close, and we're not.
No,
we're really not. Obviously, like, when I was drinking and stuff, it was a difficult time for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But she would use my drinking against me.
Okay, so a bit of a weapon.
And I didn't really have a defence for that.
No,
because I was drinking ridiculously. And I do mention her a bit more in a bit. Like at the moment we're getting on.
Okay.
At the moment.
All right.
But I don't know how long that will go on for. But I mean, when I was going home and my drinking would start at 6:00. Cause she didn't live at home, if I saw my sister's car there, I'd have a drink before I went in the house. Because I just felt like I needed that just to be able to face whatever mood she was going to be in when I walked in.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know if she was going to be miserable, moody, or if actually she was going to be in a good mood. I just felt like I had to have a drink before I could even face her. So I'd see her car and then I'd be like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to have a drink now then. So I wouldn't even wait till I got in the house. Yeah. But normally, most of the time, my drinking would sort of start at 6:00. And then I was at work, and I had 2 massive panic attacks because I had to spend the next 2 days with my sister, and I full-blown panic attacks. Couldn't breathe. I was crying. It's happened twice in one day. And I went home, and that night I thought, I'm going out. I'm going out. And it was a Wednesday night, and I had the next 2 days off work. And went out with my friend, had a few drinks, and then I decided that I was going to drive home. And on the drive home, I hadn't been very well, cold, cough, all of that. And I started, I had a coughing fit, so I pulled over, and I just grabbed a bottle, a plastic bottle, it was a Lucozade bottle, off my passenger seat, and I just started drinking it. And this is how much alcoholics hide alcohol. I didn't know myself that there was alcohol in that, but it was straight Bacardi. But that's how, I've been to the gym before, picked up my water and it had vodka in it. That was years ago. But you become so good, I guess, at hiding it. You end up hiding it from yourself.
Yeah, but I suppose if most people picked up a Lucozade bottle and took a great big swig out of it, and it was Bacardi, you'd go,
well,
what the,
I
you know?
realised something wrong when straight away my throat was on fire.
Yeah.
And I panicked, and I shouldn't have been driving anyway. I hold my hands up, I shouldn't have been driving anyway. But I panicked, and I thought, I need to get home. I was less than a mile from home, and I thought, I can't walk. It's a country road. It's 3:30 in the morning.
And you lived where you live now?
Yeah.
Because you live in quite a remote place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not easily accessible.
No.
Yeah.
And I thought, my phone had 2% battery, and I was like, I'm wearing all black.
Standard.
Phone
never any good when you need them for anything.
And I thought, I can't walk home.
Yeah.
I need to get home before this alcohol kicks in.
Yeah.
So
rationally, the fastest way of doing that is to
drive
there. Yeah.
So I came out of the road and started driving down the country road bit, and I was pulled over.
Yeah.
For drink driving. So yeah, I came out, and where I live, we don't see police. If we call them, it takes them 2 hours to get to us. Yeah. It's remote. Nothing ever really happens there. We've got a pub and a shop. That's all we've got.
Yeah.
Don't even have public transport. But at 3:30 on a Thursday morning, there just happened to be a police car. And I know, well, I'm 99% sure that I never would have been caught that night had I not hit the police car.
You hit the police car?
I hit the police car. Now, it was only wing mirrors. I say only wing mirrors. And it's happened, like when you're used to living in country roads.
Yeah. Wing mirrors touch. Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
So
people get stuck in hedges.
So I obviously didn't know that it was a police car. And I just did what I normally do, which is put the window down, pop the wing mirror back out, saw that the mirror was still in there, put the window back up.
Yeah.
And I saw this car turn around, and I thought, this is not the time for someone to have a go at me, because I need to get home before this extra alcohol kicks in. And I saw the blue lights, and I thought, this is a joke. This is a joke. This can't be happening to me right now. And obviously they pulled me over, and it's a bit of a blur, but there's certain parts of it that I do really remember. And they kept saying to me, like, where's your car key? And because I didn't need a key to get into my car, I was like, I don't know. And obviously I told them that I have been drinking, and I've just had this drink. They didn't have a breathalyzer. Anyway, so they're looking for my car key, and I was like, it's in my bag somewhere. Like, I honestly,
it's got to be in the car.
Press the button. It's got to be in there somewhere.
Yeah, otherwise the car wouldn't start. Yeah.
And obviously, in searching for my car key, they obviously came across a lot of bottles which hadn't actually made it to the recycling yet. And this other unit turned up, didn't have a breathalyzer. And so I got taken to the station. Yeah. Which is, so it was Weymouth Police Station, which from. That's
a long way.
That's a long way.
It's 40 minutes, 50 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got taken there. Yeah. And I was crying my eyes out. I knew that I'd messed up. I knew. Do you know?
At that point, you're holding your face, but you obviously knew at that point that this was going to be bad.
Yeah.
This was going to be really bad.
This was bad. And
did you think for a moment in yourself, for a second, actually, this might be the turning point? This might be the point that I've been looking for.
I didn't see it then.
Or were you still in very much fight mode?
I was just a mess.
Yeah.
And I was crying, and obviously then I was breathalyzed. And so the legal drink drive limit is 35.
Mm-hmm.
I blew 150.
And this was an hour after being pulled over. Yeah. Well, actually, probably more like, if the timeline's right, probably more like about an hour and a half after being pulled over.
Yeah.
Realistically.
So, but I and I admit I was drinking before then anyway. I shouldn't have got behind the wheel when I did. Then obviously definitely shouldn't have carried on driving after the incident with the Bacardi in a non-Bacardi bottle. So yeah, I blew 4.2 times the legal limit, and the guy who was processing me, who took all my information, took my mugshot, which I haven't seen, and I don't know if I want to see that, but he couldn't believe that I'm not a massive person. I'm only 5'3". I'm quite a small person. The fact that I had blown so high, but was still able to have a conversation. I was able to tell him my weight in pounds, kilos, and stone, and I was able to give my height in feet and inches and in centimeters. I could give him all that information.
That's how you were available. You were actually able to function.
Yeah.
At that kind of alcohol level.
He
how normal it was to your body.
Yeah, and he said he just couldn't believe that a person of my sort of frame could even blow that amount. It was possible for anyone of my size to blow that amount, let alone be able to have conversations and being able to reel off all this information, this factual information, like it's fairly normal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the arrest, like getting arrested and being processed and everything, if that sobered me up a bit.
Yeah. I should think it would have had
the shock of it.
I think that adrenaline pumping through your veins and
But I got put into the cell, and I just cried. I just cried all night. And I remember they kept looking through the little slidey hatch thing. They kept looking at me in there, and I thought, why do they keep looking at me? Because I'm not going anywhere. Clearly I'm not going anywhere. I'm in a police cell. Yeah. But obviously it was to make sure that I hadn't harmed myself or anything. And then, this was the early hours of Thursday morning on the 28th of April, 2024, which just so happened to be the day before my mum's wedding.
Okay.
So this is early hours of the Thursday. My mum's getting married on the Friday.
Yep.
And I know that this is bad. This is really bad. And they couldn't let me go from the police station until I blew a pass or a fail. I didn't know what the number was. It literally just yes or no. Yeah. And they were very surprised that actually when they did this at I think 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, that actually I was okay to go. So so my mum was going to come pick me up, and I was waiting because from my house Weymouth is quite far, and then I heard this voice on the little, like, you know, where you buzz and you say who you are, and I heard Intercom. This voice say, you know, I'm here to pick up Paige, who was arrested, and it was my sister's voice, and I thought, I can't. Let me back in that cell. I can't deal with this right now.
I don't want to face her yet.
I can't do this. Anyway, she comes in, and the first thing she says to me was, how much is this going to cost me? And I was like, why is it going to cost you any money? It's not your life that's just like been ripped apart. Yeah. Through my own doing as well. And obviously I didn't know my car had been impounded. I didn't know any of that. Yeah. And she was like, right, you're going to rehab. And I was like, no. I said, I'm not going to rehab. I don't need rehab. And she was like, yes, you do. And I was like, no, I don't. I knew I needed help, but I didn't think I needed to go to rehab. Yeah. Because by this point, I know I am done with drinking. And I say that. This was the Thursday. The Friday, my mum's wedding. Yeah. I did drink. The Saturday and the Sunday, all a bit of a blur. I was basically... people think blackout is where you pass out. Yeah. Blackout is where you have no memory. Mm-hmm. And I was in blackout for that weekend. Yeah. Monday, went to work. And I told them what happened. And I basically got let go. Mm-hmm. and my sister picked me up, and we went and got my car. Obviously, my mum drove it. And
so, again, sorry, it might be painful to talk about, but you were immediately let go from work.
Yeah.
No extension of, Paige, can we help you with anything? Do you need assistance? Can we put you in contact with an agency or a group? How can we assist you with this matter that's impacting your life?
But I'd had quite a bit of... I'd had quite a few sick days because of my mental health.
Yeah.
A lot of it being around toxic relationships.
Yeah.
And obviously the mental, like, not breakdown that I had, but the panic attacks that I had at work.
Yeah.
And I was sent home from work.
Yeah.
Because of these 2 big panic attacks.
Yeah.
And I think for them it was probably just like a final straw, but they didn't know that obviously I was.
You also
drinking.
didn't ask.
No, but then people might get offended if people do ask. I don't have resentment towards them.
No, I'm just still astonished that those kind of things can happen at work. You're talking about having panic attacks and possibly having struggles with mental health, and nobody's actually gone. Actually, Paige, is there anything we can help you with? Because I know the agencies that my husband works for. I've been self-employed because of a industrial tribunal for a very long time, which I've spoken about on this particular podcast. But I'm still astonished that in that time that I know that there are safeguards in place for my husband's staff, that they would reach out and say, actually, do you need some help with this? Is there a community group? Is there somebody we can put you in contact? Do you need to talk to somebody? Do you need a few days off?
Yeah.
Do you need to take a little bit of time, take a breath to get yourself sorted out? I know those things are in place for a good employer, so I'm just a bit astonished to find out that this employer didn't the first instance was, okay, no, thanks very much, you're gone.
I think because the signs were probably there for them, to be honest.
Yeah.
I had a liver biopsy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying everyone who's ever had a liver biopsy is because of alcohol.
No, again, the doctor thought when my ex-husband had his, that the first thing he jumped to, like I said to you, when you went into hospital, they probably asked you if you were pregnant, because that's the go-to for women.
Yeah.
Actually, when they get a gay man, have you got HIV or AIDS? And that was the first thing that was literally laid. It's like, oh, wait a minute, what the hell? Again, you're pulling that face. That's the face I pulled. And we were just about to get married at the time, and I'm like, oh, what the hell is going on here? But again, it's just those knee-jerk reactions always go straight to the obvious choice. Yeah. You are X, so you must have X, or you are a woman, you must be pregnant. Yeah. And it's just those things. Yeah. So I'm just astonished that we're still living in those times that actually, that's the knee-jerk reaction.
I think maybe if I'd been at the job longer, because I only started there I think I was there for about 5 months.
Okay.
So bear in mind, in this 5 months, I've had days off because of my mental health.
Yeah.
I've had panic attacks at work, and I've also had a liver biopsy in this time, which obviously was planned. They knew it was happening. I had the days booked off and stuff. Yeah. Although actually they did say to me, because I only booked 2 days off work, they said, if you're not okay to come back and you need a bit more time off to rest, then just say. And honestly, it was one of the worst experiences of my life, and I did need extra time, and they were really good. Yeah.
But again, we find that people are quite often good like that when it comes to a medical condition that you are physically having a procedure for, but actually you're having a panic attack, you're having some sort of mental stage in your life where you need actually those things are still, suck it up, get on with it, come back to work, stop. I don't really think I ever really, but it's hard for me because, like, looking back now, they could have asked me questions, and actively drinking and being an alcoholic, I would have lied to them. So it doesn't really matter what they had said. Like, if I'd been there longer, it was only a small sort of family-run company anyway. If it was a big company, then there may have been other things offered, but I still would have lied about it. Yeah. Because that's what addicts do. Okay. So I mean, that was the worst thing to happen. That was on a Monday, and then on the Tuesday, I just said to my mum, I said, I don't want to talk about what happened last week, because that had happened, but then it was my mum's wedding, so
a lot, and then I'd lost my job. It was a lot,
Yeah.
and I was so overwhelmed. I didn't want to talk about it. And my sister kept bringing it up, kept talking about it. And she was telling me how, you know, everyone was fed up with me. I'm always the problem. I'm a burden. And I remember saying to, you know, I'm drunk at this point as well.
Yeah.
But like this thing, I was never aggressive.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what people didn't get. I was never horrible when I was drunk, but a lot of it was done by myself. But I had been drinking. Well, at this point, I had nothing else to do, did I? So, because this is the Tuesday after I'd lost my job. And she told me I was a burden. And I remember saying to her, I said, well, then I'll give you one last burden. You can plan my funeral.
Yeah.
And I by now, I've had sleeping tablets. So I had my sleeping tablet, and I gave them to my mum because I said take them because otherwise I'm taking them.
So by that point, you didn't trust yourself.
No, and then the next day, I think I was feeding a depression.
Yeah.
With a depressant.
Yeah.
And obviously at this point now I'm just drinking all day pretty much. And when I'm not drinking, I'm sleeping or crying.
Yeah.
That's all I did. And I don't remember all the ins and outs of it, but that night, my mum, who would never just walk into my bedroom, she's, you know, boundaries, she'd always knock. She didn't, she just stormed into my bedroom. And I had all my sleeping tablets, so I'd got them back, and I was drinking from a bottle of Bacardi like it was water.
Yeah. I
don't know where I got that Bacardi from, but like, I don't remember getting it.
Yeah.
But I obviously at some point walked around to the shop and got it. And yeah, she just stormed into my bedroom, found me doing that. She didn't know what to do, so she called 111, who said we're sending an ambulance. I was crying on the sofa. I was holding onto my stepdad's hand and I was crying. I was begging my mum. I was like, Mum, let me do it. Mum, let me. I was angry at her because I wanted to kill myself and she stopped me.
Yeah.
And I was begging my own mum to let me take my life. Like I wanted to die. I got when I got put in the ambulance, I asked the paramedic to take a photo of me. I love this. I don't talk about it in my share. I asked them to take a photo of me so I could send it to my sister and say something like, "You nearly got what you wanted."
Yeah.
Something like that. Something horrible.
Yeah.
And I just got taken to hospital, and
I'm chuckling here because you see so many people that are evidently not particularly, they're not very well. They manage to take pictures of themselves whilst they're in hospital with the standard picture is I've got an IV in, I've got a drip in. I know we're in the hospital. It's like, why don't you take pictures of yourself?
Yeah.
It's just
like,
weird.
people tag themselves there as well. And it's like
Here again. Yeah.
And then everyone's like, "Oh, what's the matter?" Like,
Sorry, that's the only reason I'm breaking the tension because that's what's come to my mind.
But I think what mine was I wanted to hurt her.
Yeah.
Because she had hurt me, and I wanted to hurt her back.
Yeah. So did the paramedic take this picture?
Yeah.
They did. Okay. Well, they did as the patient requested. Yeah.
They're probably used to it, to be honest. People saying, "Oh, can you take a picture?"
It's to prove to my boss that I'm off in an ambulance, so I don't have to do my exam in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he took it and I sent it to her, and
what was the response from her?
Oh, I say it like this, like but she said something. I remember reading it, and I won't say because what my actual thoughts were swear words, but basically, go away. Like when she replied, because she said, it makes me cringe. She said, you're the other half of me. You're my soulmate. This is you need to do this, because she thought I was being taken into detox.
Mm-hmm.
So she claims. She reckons that she thought I was going into detox. She months later claimed that she didn't know that I tried to take my own life.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But yeah, she sent me this message, and I just thought, "Oh, go away." And when I I explained everything to the lady, mental health lady that came around and spoke to me, and she even said to me, she said, I don't think you should have any contact with your sister for a while.
Yeah.
And I blocked her, and we didn't speak for weeks, months. But so the 1st of May 2024 was the next day when I was in hospital. That was my first sober day.
Okay.
And I think the only reason I remember that was my first sober day, because actually it was still a bit of a blur for me, because obviously that time was a very mental time, so it was a bit of a blur, but I know when my first sober day was, because I was in hospital.
Yeah.
This getting arrested, everything after this, I was so done, and I didn't want to drink, and I said to my mum that I would go to this fellowship meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on a Monday night, and so came out of hospital, and the next one available that I said I'd go to was on Monday the 6th of May.
Yeah, so just a week after.
So it was bank holiday.
Yeah.
So I didn't think it would be on.
Yeah.
Not realising at the time, obviously not knowing much about fellowships and not knowing the help that is out there. I didn't know that actually they are on every single day of the year. Yeah. And there's loads on. There's loads everywhere on. But I thought it's bank holiday, it won't be on. So actually my first meeting was the 13th of May.
Okay.
And I walked in, very nervous. I walked into this room, and this lady came up to me, and she started talking to me, and she went, I recognise you. And I went, I recognise you, but we couldn't think where from.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out that we both go to the same sunbed shop.
Okay.
So, yeah. But she started talking to me, she's really nice. And asked me for a tea or coffee or anything, and I was really shy.
Yeah.
Because
you don't know what to expect. You don't know what to expect, do you?
I don't know what to expect, and there is mainly older people in there. I was expecting to walk in and it'd be like a group of smelly old men, because when I've got in a depiction on the TV, you'd have a group of seats around in a groggy old, like normally cold, a village hall, melamine floor, trestle table at the back with some really nasty coffee and a tray of donuts. That's what we're led to believe. Yeah. That's how it's portrayed. And I thought it was just going to be like a load of homeless people, or maybe not homeless people, but people that didn't look after themselves, and people that were sad. That's what I was expecting. Yeah. But it's a mixture of men and women. Yeah. There's about 25 people in there, and everyone looks happy. And I'm like, this can't be the right place, because I'm miserable. Yeah. And I'm an alcoholic, and you're claiming to be alcoholics, but you're happy. Yeah. That's not right. No. And so I did this meeting, and for the first time I said, my name is Paige and I'm an alcoholic. And I remember saying it for the first time in that room, and I didn't look at anybody, I just looked at the ground. But they said, well done for speaking. Yeah. Because
just going to say that's a huge.
Yeah.
Again, from someone who's gone through personal therapy, to admit I am depressed, is hard. It's really a big step, and it does that first one is really to admit to yourself, to actually vocalise in public, to talk about things that you haven't maybe spoken to anybody else about. That's really, really hard.
Yeah, and because even though in my head I knew at this point there was no denying, I knew I was an alcoholic, but I hadn't said it out loud until that time. Yeah. And it was at the end of the meeting, these women came up to me and gave me their numbers, and it was all really nice. And this lady that had spoken to me when I first went in, she said, oh, did you drive here? And I said, well, no, I got arrested. And sort of explained a bit about it. And she said, well, there's another meeting on a Wednesday, and there's meetings everywhere. But I go to another meeting on a Wednesday, and I said, well, I can't drive. She went, I'll pick you up, and I was like, oh, you know, 'cause at this point
Feels a bit intrusive, a little bit much, a little bit too much commitment, maybe.
But at this point as well, is that even though I knew I had a drink problem,
yeah,
I thought I'm going to do one meeting a week.
Yeah.
And after a year,
yeah,
I'll be cured.
Okay.
That was what I thought. And I thought, I don't want to be doing this 2 or 3 times a week. That's a bit much. Anyway, I don't think I did that week, but the next week I went back because I kept hearing, keep coming back.
Yeah.
Just keep coming back. So, and you know, I wanted help, and I thought, well, it wasn't too bad the first time. I'll go again.
They were okay, yeah.
So I went back, and yeah, then this lady actually worked out. She doesn't live far from me. So she said that she'd come pick me up, and she took me to the Wednesday meeting.
Yeah.
Now before, so bearing in mind as well, so I'm still waiting to go to court for the drink driving and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this feeling, like the day before that she was due to pick me up, so I think it must have been like the Tuesday or something, that I should text her and say, oh, by the way, my bail conditions, I'm not allowed to sit in the front of a car. So I wasn't allowed in the passenger seat of a car.
Okay.
I had to sit in the back. That was my bail conditions. Luckily, I told her that because she had a 2-seater little sports car.
Yeah.
But she also had a truck.
Okay.
So bless her, she picked me up in the truck.
Okay.
And I sat in the back.
Yeah.
And she drove me to the meetings. And her husband, actually, very innocently, gave me the nickname Backseat Paige.
Yeah.
Backseat, yeah. Yeah. Because I had to sit in the back.
Yeah. And,
you know, if this lady picked me up and then she picked somebody else up, they'd automatically go, why are you sat in the back? And I'd be like, that's my bail conditions. Like, yeah, and then obviously most people by then knew. Anyway, I did what was suggested, and I kept going back. Mainly because, no, I was going to say mainly because I didn't have a choice. I did have a choice. It was never forced.
You wanted to.
Yeah, it was never forced on me.
Yeah.
And I wanted to. Because I did look around those rooms, and I did see that people were happy, and I knew I wasn't. And I wanted to be happy.
Yeah.
I wanted what they had.
Yeah.
And, you know, the meeting that I started going to on a Wednesday was a share meeting, so someone comes in and shares their story.
Yeah.
And they say, listen for the similarities, not the differences.
Yeah. And
one common thing that you have with every single share that you'll hear in those rooms, if you're an alcoholic, is it doesn't matter what backgrounds you come from, we're all there for the same reason.
Yeah.
But we are the lucky ones, because not everybody makes it into the rooms.
No.
Because not everybody is lucky enough to know that there is help there.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I sort of threw myself into it. I then obviously asked this lady, it was a no-brainer for me, this lady, I wanted to ask her to be my sponsor.
Okay.
And I was really nervous about asking her. And it was like I was going to ask her to marry me or something. I was really nervous. And I'm sat
almost
in the
if you're going to go
car.
to the prom with me, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sat in the
kind
back
of
of the car, and I'm like, but bearing in mind as well that a lot of my drinking was fear-based.
Yes.
So I'm now doing this, like with
stone
nothing.
sober. Yeah. Without your crux. Yeah.
And it's a big question to ask.
Yeah.
And I sort of did what I would, this just sums me up really. I said, well, I was wondering if you'd be my sponsor, but I know that you're really busy, and I know that you might not be able to. And she was like, if you want to ask me, then ask me.
Well, I kind of just did.
And I just went, will you be my sponsor? And she went, yes, I will. And that lady, honestly, she's amazing. She her and the fellowship have saved my life.
Yeah.
I believe that 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And it's mad to think that somebody who's so important to me is found I found her when I was at my lowest.
Yeah.
And all I had to do was ask for help.
Yeah.
I asked for help.
And the answer was yes.
My whole life has changed.
Yeah.
And obviously she took me through steps and everything, but I had my court case.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to court. I obviously pleaded guilty.
Yeah.
I was, I wasn't going to... There was too much evidence. I blew 150. You can't go there and say not guilty.
Yeah.
But I knew I'd messed up.
Yeah.
I knew I had to deal with the consequences of what I had done. So I pleaded guilty, and then they said, okay, in 3 weeks' time you need to come back and sentencing. And when I went back for sentencing, bearing in mind my solicitor has told me that there is a chance I might go to jail.
Yeah. Because
of how high I've blown. And so my mum and my sister are in the waiting room bit as I'm in court. And I got quite a hefty punishment.
Yeah.
But the judge said to me, he said, to go from the amount of empty bottles in the back of my car and blowing 150, to go from that to being 90 days sober at the time of sentencing was commendable. And he said, and that's why I'm not sending you to prison. Because I asked for help and I joined a fellowship.
Yeah.
And I was 90 days sober at the time of sentencing. That fellowship saved
you
me
from prison. Yeah.
I don't think I would have survived going to prison.
Okay.
I really don't. This fellowship has saved my life, but it saved me from going to prison.
Okay.
I had a suspended sentence. I had to wear the alcohol tag for 120 days. So that goes off. It's not... People thought that maybe I had to be home by 7 o'clock. It's not a tag like that.
Yeah.
It goes off, so it vibrates every half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Takes a sample of your sweat.
Yeah.
And it takes the information and tells the courts if you drank.
Okay.
Basically.
Yeah.
Luckily for me, because I really wanted to be sober and I didn't want to drink, and because I was going to these meetings,
yeah,
I didn't pick up a drink, and to this day I haven't picked up a drink.
And congratulations and well done to
Thank you.
Shall we take a little pause there?
Yeah.
And then we'll get into, you might be, if you're open to it, sharing a little bit about the programme that you're in and some of the steps behind it, if that's all right. We'll take a little bit of a pause. Right, so you're now in a programme.
Yeah.
And do you want to talk about a little bit about what that looks like for you?
So I didn't know much about this fellowship and a 12-step programme. And, at first, I think when I first read the 12 steps, the word God stood out for me a lot.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a religious person.
No.
But it's not a religious programme.
Mm-hmm.
It's a spiritual programme.
Yeah. And
I don't use the word God, but I came to believe that there is a power greater than myself and I have a higher power.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I get that gut instinct about something, that is my higher power.
Yeah. And,
these are just things that, the 12 steps has basically taught me how to do life.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do life before. Step 1 is, you admit that you're powerless over alcohol and your life has become unmanageable.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that, you're now homeless on the streets, you've lost everything. Your life is now completely revolved around that next drink, whether it be the next drink because you're drinking all day, or looking forward to a drink on a Friday night
and binge drinking
and being blackout drunk, blackout being not passed out, memory, just going on a mad one basically. If your life has become unmanageable because of alcohol, then you are, and you've got to admit that.
Yeah. So that's step 1. Yeah. Yeah.
And then when it got to the step where, so you make a list. The steps are in a very good order.
Yeah.
And going through the steps, you realise why they are in the order that you go in. There's a a step fairly early on where you write down your character defects.
Yeah.
So it's an inventory of yourself basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite vulnerable. It's quite vulnerable because you are basically just sat there and you write down.
Well, nobody ever likes to admit what the faults or the flaws
Yeah.
or the negative points are. It's not a comfortable place for anybody to be.
But in order to, ask your higher power to remove those defects, you have to know what those defects are.
You have to address them first. You have to look them square in the eye. Yeah.
Yeah. So you make a list of them. Then you tell your sponsor.
Yeah.
And ask for those defects to be removed. Now, no one's perfect.
No.
I mean, I know that not all of mine have been removed.
Yeah.
I can,
But the very fact that you know what they are.
Yeah.
Is surely the biggest turning point. Yeah.
Yeah, because I do sometimes look back and I think, oh, God, I was a bit moody then. Actually, I should apologise for that.
Yeah.
But also, I know that I am really nosy.
Mm-hmm.
I am really nosy, and I know it's a character defect, and it is something I'm working on. But it is, it's not. We're never going to be perfect.
No.
We are human beings.
Yeah.
And sometimes those character defects, a little bit, they do come back. But as long as you sort of keep check of yourself, like there's a step later on where you do, like at the end of the day, you sort of reflect on your day.
Mm-hmm.
And if something didn't go well, you think, could I have done that better?
Yeah.
Or if there was a disagreement, do I need to apologise?
Yeah. How did I react? How did I handle? How did I
Yeah.
escalate or de-escalate that particular situation? Did I engage? Did I disengage? Yeah.
So, and that's a step later on. But when I got to the step of, after the defects and then making a list of the people that I had harmed.
Yeah.
And you write down, and there are some people that maybe you will never be able to make amends to,
mm-hmm.
whether they're no longer with us.
Yeah.
But as long as you're willing to, I mean, I've got someone on my never list because it will cause more harm than good.
Okay.
Because if I try to apologise,
yeah,
they will say, well, what about when you did this? What about when you did that? And it's not there for that.
Yeah.
It's
not there to antagonise the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm apologising because I know I did wrong.
You're taking accountability for what you're part of it, but you can't take accountability for also their reaction to a situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I knew that obviously I needed to apologise to my mum. I needed to make my amends to my mum. And when I would go to my probation meetings,
mm-hmm.
My mum would go for a coffee and cake just up the road.
Yeah. So she would have to take you.
Yeah.
Which is in itself of a stark reminder of what everybody is doing and why you're doing it. And I
think that's one of the things I struggled with most is that the driving ban that I got.
Yeah.
100%, I get it. But for me, living where I live with no public transport, I felt that it was more like my mum was getting more of the punishment.
Your mum took the brunt of it. Yeah.
And I really struggled with that. But then I guess you could turn around and say, well, the fact that it made you feel like that is the punishment.
Yeah. But
I'm like, but I'd rather it just didn't punish my mum.
No.
But yeah, she would take me, and it was a 45-minute drive to where it was from mine. Yeah. So it wasn't. Well,
back to Weymouth again.
No, it wasn't to Weymouth. It was back to Poole.
Okay, so still,
still quite far. Yeah.
The traffic.
Yeah.
Anybody locally, there's no easy way around that.
Yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't.
No matter which way you go.
Yeah.
All the time.
And so she would go for this coffee and cake. So I'd gone through the step with my sponsor, and you don't have to make amends straight away. No. It happens when
these things take a lot of time. The other person has to be ready as well. It's not just you.
I mean, I've still got an amends to make, but it just hasn't come up yet.
Yeah.
I'm not shying away from it, the time just hasn't been right yet.
Yeah.
But I'll know when the time is right.
Yeah.
Because I'll feel it's right. My higher power will tell me.
Yeah.
Now is the time. But I said, right, I'm gonna do it, and I planned it. I was gonna go in when she was having her coffee and cake. So after I'd been to see my probation officer, and I was gonna make my amends. And I walked in, and I just knew I was gonna cry. And I am the world's ugliest crier. Like, it's awful. And I thought, I can't do this here.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
I can't be vulnerable here in this space.
Like, we're in a public place.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do this here.
If you're anything like me, I'm sorry to interject while you're sharing something so personal, but I can't cry. This is one of the biggest problems I've suffered with bottling things up, and even in front of my husband. I don't cry. I haven't cried. I don't break. And it's something that I've been championed for over many, many years.
Yeah.
So you're always steadfast, you're always steady, you're always strong, you're always dependable. Well, actually inside I need to break, and my husband would like nothing more than to see me sort of fall apart and cry, because he knows that would be me releasing. And But yeah. Okay, so you couldn't cry in public, you couldn't do that in a coffee shop.
See,
so
even like, I remember even when I was younger, I didn't ever like crying in front of people.
Nor me.
And I wouldn't cry in front of people.
Might be able to
take myself off.
Get a couple of gips, a couple of tears, and then I would have to compose myself and take myself away.
Yeah.
Like a cat.
Yeah, literally.
Take yourself off behind the shed, have a bit of
Yeah.
then like breathe, compose yourself, and back to normality.
Yeah.
Just swallow it down.
I remember.
Doesn't do you any good.
When my nan passed away, I ran to my car. This was when I was 18. I ran to my car. I was crying so much that I thought I was going to be sick.
Yeah.
Sat there crying for I don't even know how long. Anyway, got home, and all the family were coming round to. This is when my mum and dad were together, and they were coming around to our house, and I went straight to my bedroom, put makeup on so nobody could tell I'd been crying, and nobody saw me cry.
Cover it up, yeah.
And I remember that, but I just I could not just. You're quite vulnerable when you're making your amends.
Yeah.
And I thought, actually, this isn't the place to do it. So we walked to the car, and I got in the car, and I burst into tears, like full on. But my mum, bless her, she doesn't know why I'm crying.
No. And
she's like, what's happened? What's the matter? She doesn't know if like I've just been told someone's died or what. And so I was trying to get my words out. And then I composed myself enough that I can speak, and I'm just basically telling her that I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I want to know if there's a way I can make it up to her. I can't undo all those years of pain that I put on her. I can't. But my daily amends to my mum is I'm not picking up.
Stay sober.
Like today.
Yeah.
I haven't picked from that time in hospital to now, I haven't picked up a drink. And as long as I do the programme and I work the programme, I'm not going to have a drink tonight.
Yeah.
And hopefully that should go. It's one day at a time.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would love to sit here and say, when I pick up my 50-year chip, but life's still life, and we don't know what's happening, and it is one day at a time.
Yeah.
And so so I'm crying. And I'm saying to her, she starts crying, and she said that when the alcohol tag went on the 8th of August, she felt like she could breathe because she knew I couldn't drink.
Because you were no longer a ticking time bomb.
Yeah. She felt like she could breathe. And bear in mind, when I'm making this amends to my mum, I've still got the tag on.
Yeah.
It came off at the end of November last year, and she said to me that when it first went on, she felt like she could breathe, and she was dreading the day it was coming off. But because she had seen how much I'd changed, because of the programme that I was in, and I threw myself into it, and because I wanted to be sober, she was no longer scared. My mum, this was news to me, but she wasn't scared anymore. it was coming up.
What a
here,
relief,
and it was
and
gonna
what a
be
massive
yeah.
relief for her. What a massive unburdening for her as well.
Yeah, and it was amazing to know that actually, you know, she wasn't worried anymore. She wasn't scared.
Yeah. And
she could see that I had changed and that I wanted to be a better person.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be a better version of myself. But they do say that other people see it in you before you do, and I hadn't really seen the change in me at this point. I knew that I wasn't rising to things as quickly. You know, if somebody pushed me, eventually I'd flip, and I wasn't. Even when I was talking to, you know, my sister, when I did start talking to her again after the suicide attempt, she would always be very good at pushing me, and eventually I would flip. Yeah. And she was trying to push me this one day, and I just turned around to her and I said, "Please don't talk to me like that. I don't She was trying to explain something to me, and I said, "I don't understand what you mean. I'm trying to understand, but please don't talk to me like I'm a child." Yeah. Or don't talk to me like I'm a version of my former self. Yeah, and she didn't like that because it wasn't the reaction she was used to. I don't want to put words in your mouth, and I don't want to make diagnosis, but there is a certain type of character or person that they only know comfort in getting a particular reaction out of a certain person, and that normally is formed by their version of that person exists at a certain point in a certain time, and anything after that, if the buttons aren't pressable, they don't know what to do. Yeah. They simply don't know how to react. And she didn't like it. They don't. They often don't. It's like having a mirror shone back at you. Yeah. And then the thing is, she was still, you know, she was still trying to push me even after I said that. Yeah. So yeah, I knew that I had changed a little bit. Yeah. But the time that I realised I had really changed was it is suggested that you don't seek a relationship in the first year, 2 years. Yeah. It is all suggestions in the fellowship. There's no sort of rules. It's not a you can't do this, you can't do that. And, you know, it is suggested you don't get into a relationship, but I did. Yeah. And so in February of this year, so I was 9 months sober. Me and my boyfriend, we went away. Mm-hmm. And we went to Amsterdam. Now, okay. I know, in recovery, going to Amsterdam, but I wanted to go. We went for my birthday. I wanted to go because I enjoy city breaks. I wanted to see the culture. I'd never been. Yeah. I wasn't interested in any of the drugs. Mm-hmm. Other people in the fellowship did say, "Do you think that's a good idea?" Yeah. But again, I wouldn't suggest it. Not their place to stop you. No. But... And I personally wouldn't suggest it if you thought about going there, if you thought you might, because, you know, a mind-altering substance is a mind-altering substance, it's a relapse. Yeah. And I knew that it didn't interest me. Mm-hmm. Drugs never did. So I think I tried smoking weed once and I just didn't like it. Yeah. And I was like, oh no. And that was like when I was a lot younger. It didn't interest me. I wanted to go. I want the culture and everything. Anyway, he decided he was going to get these gummies. Yeah. And he had too much, felt really ill. And then the next day, so actually, that night, so it was the Sunday, we went Saturday to Tuesday to Amsterdam. It was a Sunday, and he decided he was going to take these gummies. And I was like, well, I'm going to go out for dinner by myself, because he was in the hotel. Yeah. And he was like, you can't go by yourself. And I was like, well, I haven't come all the way here to sit in a hotel room while you eat gummies and I look at you eating gummies. Whilst he says how ill he feels and keeps going to the toilet to be sick. Like, that's not a holiday for me. This is not why I came here. Yeah. So anyway, he managed to get himself to go, and he apologised and everything was fine. And the next day, it was my birthday. And, you know, obviously I didn't take my presents with me to open there. That's, you know, when you've only got hand luggage, like I took my cards, I took my
Yeah.
birthday cards, I didn't take presents. And he had put euros in my card, which obviously I was really grateful for, and said, I was like, oh, thank you so much for my euros. And he went, oh, what else did you get? What other presents? And I said, what do you mean? And he laid into me. He just this barrage of abuse at me. He would, because he felt like, because it was a come down from the drugs.
Yeah.
And I don't know, is that making excuses for him? I don't know. Even so, he was shouting at me, swearing at me, calling me names. I was scared. I didn't want to get up off the bed and walk around because I thought he might hit me.
Mm.
He hadn't been violent or anything before, but he was so aggressive. And I'm sat there on my birthday, the first one I've ever been away for as well. And he is shouting at me and swearing at me and calling me names. And old me, if you're in an argument, I'll give you an argument. And if you say something nasty, I'm saying something nastier. But I sat there and I just took it. And all I kept thinking was, just keep your side of the street clean.
Yeah.
Just keep your side of the street clean. That's all that kept going through my mind. I was scared to say anything because I didn't know what he was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I just sat there and just kept saying that over in my head. And then when he had finally finished, it was horrible. And when he'd finally finished, doing that, I went into the bathroom and I cried. I just started crying.
Yeah.
It was horrible. And then I looked in the mirror, and for the first time in 33 years, I gave myself a positive pep talk. All of my looks in the mirror before would be, look at you, you're a state, you sort your life out, you're a mess. That's the things that I would say to myself in the mirror. But
This is one of the most difficult things to change, isn't it? The way we speak to ourselves. 'Cause
yeah.
let's face it, other people say horrible things to us all day, every day, whether it's on the internet, whether it's in person or their actions. But actually, the voice we hear the most is our own.
Yeah.
We have the biggest impact on our own selves by what we say to each other, ourselves.
One of the things that I hear quite a lot in the rooms, and it is true, is, fellows do say, they say, we will love you until you can learn to love yourself. Yeah. And that's really powerful. Yeah. And in that moment, I looked in the mirror and I said, do you know what, Paige? You don't deserve this. No. I said, I cringe every time I tell this bit, but I just said, do you know what, Paige? You're not even that ugly. That's what I said. I went, you're not even that ugly. You've lost nearly 8 stone and you're nearly 10 months sober. You do not deserve this. No. And I'm staring at myself in the mirror as I say this. Anyway, managed to compose myself. We then go out because we had something planned for the day, and I just wanted it to be over.
Just get through it.
But I was scared to say anything or do anything because I didn't know how he was going to react. He was a ticking time bomb. Yeah. And I was scared. I was really scared. And we went to this museum thing and looked around, and I really enjoyed it. He moaned the whole way around. I was taking too long because I was reading things and, whatever. But then, and then we were like, I said to him, we were walking down the streets of Amsterdam and it was around lunchtime, and I said, did you want to get something to eat? And he just looked at me and just went, shut up. Like, that's what he was like. And I'd never seen this side to him. So, like, all of this that I'd just seen on our first trip away together was all new. And I just didn't say anything. And, obviously we came back on the Tuesday. I got home and I just told my mum, I said everything straight away. Yeah. And normally I wouldn't have done that. I would have bottled that up. And then when I told my sponsor what he had done, she went, "And you didn't pick up a drink." And I went, "Oh." It dawned on me then.
Yeah.
The thought hadn't even crossed my mind. For someone who used alcohol for every emotion.
Yeah.
One of the biggest, emotional things that I'd gone through so far in sobriety had just happened to me, and I didn't once think about picking up a drink.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, it's amazing.
It is, and it was, when she said it, I went, "Oh."
So you quite literally surprised yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't even think about it. Which, and, at that time, so I was nearly 10 months sober. If the Paige from 1 year ago had seen that Paige 10 months later, wouldn't have believed it. I never ever thought that. I never thought my life would be what it is now.
Oh.
And it is crazy. One thing as well that got me through Amsterdam was, I remember hearing in the room someone said, "The only person that can make you angry is you." And I have the decision. I make the decision whether, if somebody does something, I decide if I'm going to get angry about it.
Yeah. You decide whether you're going to take that on and make that part of your...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I can accept it for what it is and let it go.
And you can still have empathy, you can still have compassion, but you don't necessarily have to take that emotion on.
Yeah. If I choose not to be angry, then I'm not going, I'm not going to be angry. And I heard a couple of weeks ago, somebody said, "How you feel about me isn't going to affect me. How I feel about you affects me." Because say I've got a resentment against somebody and that person maybe makes me angry or upset or something, that feeling it's only affecting me.
Yeah. That person has absolutely no idea.
No. Absolutely no idea.
They've gone off on their merry way doing whatever they're doing,
And, I do see that a lot with my sister, when she tries to make me angry, and she does try to push my buttons even now, and I don't get angry, and if anything it angers her more. She gets annoyed and angry about the fact that I'm not getting angry, but it's because I'm...
Doesn't get the reaction she wants.
It's because I'm choosing not to be angry.
Yeah.
We can't control people, places and things.
No.
And that in itself is something to, when you actually go, and you have acceptance around that no, I can't control.
A lot of people tell themselves that, but it's whether they actually believe that.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And putting it into practice is really hard. Yeah. Really hard.
Yeah.
And again, my husband and I struggle with different aspects of that. I'm one of these people that take on people's emotions. I hate it, especially disappointment. I hate disappointing anybody. And I pick up things and carry them around with me. And again, with him, he allows me to affect his mood.
Yeah.
And that sometimes, and again, we as a couple, we're learning that actually now we're both aware of these things within our own dynamics. That just because I'm, for instance, sad doesn't necessarily mean he has to fix me being sad. Just because there is a negative situation I incur in my day doesn't mean I need to pick it up and carry it with me and then ultimately bring it home and give it to him. Yeah. So again, we've learned a lot about ourselves again over a similar amount of time that you have.
But this is the thing. It's it's not you go into therapy, or for me, I went into this fellowship. Yeah. It does not happen overnight.
No.
And people do go in and they want a quick fix, but you have to go through each and every single one of those 12 steps. Yeah. And you have to do them properly, because if you can't
rush them, because they'll only come back to bite you, I'm assuming, And
if you don't do them properly, for example, I mentioned where you write down your flaws, essentially, your character defects. If you purposely leave ones out, knowing that you don't want to work on those, then you're not,
you're only hiding from yourself at the end of the day,
And it's, part of it is praying, because it's a spiritual program. Yeah. I kind of
when
need to
people
stress
say,
it's spiritual.
when people say praying, they often mean that it's going to be to a god or a higher being, but actually that can also take, I'm assuming, take the form of an affirmation to yourself. You're actually talking to yourself, and actually giving yourself positive reinforcements or encouragement or appreciation of what you may or may have not have achieved.
Yeah, and because praying for me at the beginning, I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
I'm not religious. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But actually,
but if we're all led to believe, we're all at the end, we're all God. We
yeah. But it's so when I talk, my drink driving,
mm-hmm.
when people, when I've told people or people found out, because actually people were, it's a small village next to a small town where I know a lot of people. Everybody obviously found out.
Yeah.
I don't lie about it. If people ask me, I'm happy to talk about it, because if anything, I want people to learn from my mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want anybody else to make the same mistake that I did.
Yeah.
And even if it just scares them enough that knowing there was police in our tiny village at that time of the morning, you never know when they're going to be there.
Because let's face it, that incident could have been very different. That could not have been a wing mirror. That could have been, I don't know, that could have been a car or
a person.
Yeah.
It could have been anything.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say you're so unlucky, to get that time of the morning, you never see police there. Oh, you're so unlucky. And
I suppose you think to yourself, actually, if that policeman hadn't pulled me over, how long would have this gone on for? What would be the next stage? What would have happened next? How long would I have gone for, and what would have been next?
I understand it now that my higher power said, right, she's been in hospital detox loads of times.
That didn't work.
She's had a seizure. That didn't work.
Didn't work. Yeah.
What's going to make her stop and listen?
How many more sort of times can we change course and we still end up on the same path and deviating back to the same thing? Yeah.
And my higher power went, that's it. Shut the police there.
You're destined for something else. Yeah. This is going to be the shake-up you need.
And hand on heart, I'm glad I got caught.
Yeah.
It's inconvenient not having a license and not living somewhere for transport, but I'm glad I got caught.
Yeah.
Because I know if I hadn't have got caught, or if I hadn't stopped drinking, and if I hadn't found the fellowship, I would not be here now. I would be dead, because I don't know if it would have been the prison, going to prison. I don't know how I would have dealt with that, but I know I wouldn't have done it very well, because I wasn't in a good place mentally.
No.
And if I'd been drinking, still, it would have been 10 times worse.
Would it have been a seizure? Would it have been my liver? Would I harmed myself in some other way?
I think I would have attempted suicide again.
Yeah.
I say I think. I know I would have.
Yeah.
I know, because I was that desperate once, and if I hadn't have made a change, which at the end of the day, one change is basically all I've done.
Yeah.
I've stopped drinking.
Yeah.
But I haven't just stopped drinking. I have entered into a fellowship.
Yeah.
And I've wanted to turn my life around, and that's exactly what I've done. And before, I gave up everything for one thing, and that was alcohol.
Yeah.
I've now given up one thing
and gained
for everything. Yeah. I cannot put into words, I cannot stress enough the love I have for the fact that we have programs like this, multiple fellowships for multiple things that are free. It's free.
Yeah.
And all you have to do
is step into a room. Yeah.
Listen out for the similarities, and not everybody gets it straight away. You do get people that come into the rooms. The only requirement for membership is the desire to stop drinking. That's one of the traditions, and so you won't get turned away, and you do get people in there who sometimes you can tell if they've had a drink, but if they keep going back, eventually, most of the times from what I've seen, if you open your ears, shut your mouth, open your ears, start listening, something will click. There's one guy who 3 months he was going, he just kept going back, something, he was just drawn back. He was still drinking,
Yeah.
but drawn back. And then one day he heard somebody share their story, and it was just like his. It was like they were telling his life story.
Yeah.
And you know, when we do share our stories to other people in the fellowship, you share your story, and everyone's story is going to be a little bit different. But you share of where your drinking was, so what your life was like.
Yeah.
A lot of people start with their childhood. I don't.
Yeah.
I mentioned briefly, which I actually have never mentioned really, in my share, that I don't really have much relationship with my dad.
Yeah.
Me and my twin, we have quite an up and down relationship. Like at the moment it's okay, but I'm always on edge that when is it, you know, I'm sort of waiting for it not to be okay, which I know is really bad. I know it's really bad, but you know, it's happened so many times where we've gotten fine and then something's happened and that's it, she won't talk to me, or you know. But you know, I had a fairly good upbringing. You know, me and my sister never really went without. Parents broke up when we were 18, should have done it years before, but they thought it was the best for us, blah blah blah. It doesn't matter what my childhood was, because me and my sister had the exact same upbringing. And I'm an alcoholic and she's not.
Yeah.
She's one of those people that can have one and then leave it.
But your character is different to that.
Honestly, when people say, oh, I'll just have one, I'm like, what's the point? And I've picked up, so I went to my friend's house and there was a bottle of cider on one of their armchairs that his mate had left there. And I just picked it, it was closed, but I just picked it up to move it because it doesn't bother me. And I looked at it and I went, 4.5%, oh, what's the point? That's literally my mindset to drinking.
Yeah.
You know, I drank spirits because I wanted to get drunk
quickly.
Quick.
Yeah.
I was never a wine drinker, a beer drinker. It was spirits.
Yeah.
And I never saw the point in drinking beer or wine because it wasn't going to get you drunk.
No.
You would have to have lots of it to get drunk. Well, why? When I can have a double vodka and that'll be gone in a couple of minutes. But, you know, what I mentioned earlier about how when I look back at what I would consider normal drinking, when I was like 18, 19, I was always the drunkest. I was normally sick at some point.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd wake up in the bathroom. But I was always fun. It was always like...
Well, you thought you were having fun.
Yeah. Yeah, but when I say it was fun, I mean, like, it wasn't like everybody was getting annoyed with me.
Yes,
and
yeah,
it was like, you know, I'd normally be sick when I got home. It wasn't like I was just throwing up on a bus or anything.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad. But, you know, my drinking back then, but just going to the pub. I was over a year sober at this point when I actually realised this. Someone said something and it reminded me that when I was what I say was normal drinking, and I'd go to the pub and I would order doubles, which, okay, it's not that
unusual.
You know, it's not that unusual. But what is unusual and what doesn't happen with most people is if we all had a drink and say we were doing it in rounds and I'd finished my drink and someone still had half of theirs left, I'm looking at them thinking, hurry up and drink a drink. I want the next one.
Yeah.
If I knew that this was going to happen, I'll be double parked. So they've probably got a vodka and lemonade and I've got 2 double vodka and cokes.
So you're lapping them by 100% every round.
Yeah. And I would say, I'm just going to go to the bar to get a drink. And then someone will go, I'll come with you. It's like, no, I don't want you to come with me. Like, you say this in your head.
Because then I can't neck one
Yes.
before you even put them on the bar. Yeah.
Because then I can't either get one and neck it at the bar, or have a couple of shots at the bar and turn around. Like, no, don't come with me.
Or pour my double into my double.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was over a year sober when somebody said something and it just reminded me that I did that, and I'm like, and I thought that was normal, and it really is not. But you know, my drink, I was always going to be an alcoholic because that's what alcohol does to me.
Yeah.
that is, it's like, it's an allergy. But once I have one alcoholic drink, I can't stop.
That's it.
I can't stop. And it is the disease. And they do say, like I said earlier, it's the first drink that gets you drunk, because if you don't have that first drink, you can't then go on to have the rest.
No.
And I picked up my 18-month chip at the beginning of this month, and it's, I was grinning from ear to ear as I walked up to go and pick it up. And I look around that room, and of some of the most inspirational people I've ever seen, because alcohol is so easy to get hold of.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to go, do you know what, I'm just going to have a drink. But if you follow the program, you put the work in, and if you really, really want it, and in the morning I pray for a sober day, every morning, and I pray to my higher power and thank them for a sober day. And if you put that work in, I've met somebody who, she was sat next to me a couple of weeks ago, who was 43 years sober. She had been sober for 10 years longer than I had been alive.
And still doing the meetings,
and still doing the meetings, yeah.
Because that's the way to keep her clean.
Because the meetings are like our medicine.
Yeah.
And if you stop going to meetings, you emotionally relapse. I'm not saying every single person that doesn't carry on relapses, but you can kind of see it happening. So when people don't come to the meetings, character defects do come back.
Yeah.
And they do say that you emotionally relapse before you actually relapse.
Yeah.
And you have to put the work in. But actually, it's a really simple program. It's a simple program for complicated people. Yeah. But there is help out there with addictions of all sorts. And I am so lucky, and people say to me, you're so lucky to get this so young. And I know I am. I couldn't have carried on.
You have your whole life ahead of you.
Yeah. But, my sponsor, she drank for 40 years. And my alcoholic drinking, I'd say, was for 5 years. Yeah. I'm very, very lucky to have found the fellowship when I did. And yes, I would love to say I wish I'd found it sooner. But I personally think I needed to lose everything for me to go into those rooms. Yeah. Because I don't think I would have thrown myself into it as much, or got it and understood it as much.
Been as hungry for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's how I work. Yeah. And I'm just glad that I found it when I did.
Well, congratulations, Paige. Thank you very much for being as vulnerable as you have been and sharing quite so much. Again, it sounds such a cliche for me to round the episode with this, but where would you direct people to? If they know somebody that might be struggling with this, if they have any inkling to themselves, whether it's a person that lives for their weekend, like you said, I can not drink all weekend, but then I'm gonna go out on a bender on a Saturday night, or I can't wait to get home and I can't wait to sink that Bacardi Breezer or half a bottle of red wine with dinner, or that gin and tonic while I cook tea. Where do you advise people start with a little bit of help?
So, doctor. Yeah. You can speak to your doctor. If most people have got the internet. Yeah. Google. There's loads of different fellowships. You can Google. I know you can Google Alcoholics Anonymous. Mm-hmm. There's a phone number. You can call them. They'll call you back.
Well, I'll make sure I do some research and I post those to the bio that goes along with this episode. So.
And I just really hope that anybody who does want help does get it. Yeah. And I hope that they've got somebody supportive that will help them through, because it is also worth mentioning that the fellowships, with Alcoholics Anonymous, there is something called Al-Anon, which is it's not for alcoholics, it's for family and friends of alcoholics. Yeah. And it helps them try and understand why we are the way we are. Mm-hmm. obviously I can't really talk too much about it because I've never been, because I am the
you've obviously seen the impact your behaviours had on those people, but again, it's not up for you to be able to put that into an emotion about how that makes them feel. And
I know a lot of people, that does help a lot of people, but the fact that there's not just help for alcoholics, there's help for the family and friends of them. It doesn't matter what your addiction is, there is help out there, and just ask, just Google it. And please, if I cannot stress enough, if you are really, really worried, just try it. And if you go in, if you're on, just keep going back.
So if that meeting's not for you, maybe try another one.
Loads of I go to 3 meetings a week.
Maybe not the Friday one, maybe a Wednesday one. Different day.
But there's so many on each day as well. There's a Monday one that I've been regularly going to, and I tried a different one this Monday, just because I wanted to see what other meetings are like. There is help, and I hope if anybody is listening, and they know they themselves are struggling, or they know somebody is struggling, please just give it a go. And if you do go into those rooms, just keep coming back. That's all I can say. Just keep coming back.
Paige, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for sharing your story. It's been really inspiring.
Thank you.
All right. First of all, I wanted to say a huge thank you to Paige, which is obviously not her real name, for taking the time to share her personal story with us. It is incredibly difficult being vulnerable, especially to an audience that you don't know. And myself, want to take the opportunity to apologise. This particular episode of the podcast is not only long, but also actually not the same quality as you're used to hearing from myself. I've tried to leave it wherever possible completely intact, and you can probably hear from the quality of the audio that I'm a little bit fidgety, I'm a little bit uncomfortable, and not as polished as you're used to hearing me. But it's important that I share details with you to put it into context. And if Paige and I can reach just 1 or 2 people that this particular episode resonates with, for us, that's the most important thing. We're often told that our points of weakness, our points of vulnerability are the points that we actually grow the most from. And much like a seed that has to split open to be able to root and to grow, that these fractures and these damaged parts of ourselves are often the strongest. So once again, if you or anybody that you know needs any help or assistance with anything whatsoever, please don't hesitate to reach out and get the help that you need. Whether that's simply asking a friend, going to your doctor, or searching online, I'll make sure there's actually a few contact details in the caption below to make sure that you have access to the services you may or may not need. It's also incredibly important for me to express my gratitude as well to all of you listening, that actually without the platforms that I've built on social media and the following that I have brought together, that I wouldn't have actually found this voice to speak to in the first place. So it's very important that I say thank you. Right, next week is actually the conclusion of season 3 and episode 20, where I will actually be joined once again by my ever-loving husband Mark for a very informal and completely unscripted chat. We'll be discussing the highlights and if there were any lowlights of the season, and never fear that season 4 is already underway and going through recording now. 2026 is going to be a massive year, and next week we have some very important news to share with you. So join us next week. The Gardner podcast is brought to you in association with Peterbilt's Roses, creating timeless roses since 1968 and winner of 30 Chelsea Gold medals. Go online and shop at www.peterbiltsroses.com and make sure that you're following along on